It's only because I lowered the quality on there. Shit. The quality on the actual YouTube was
good. Put your fucking headphones on and get ready. All right?
Keep me muted for your initial talk.
Okay. Bear with me 1 second, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Peel. Thank you guys for tuning in on KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thank you to those tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. Let's see. YouTube and Facebook. Do us a favor and give this video a like and share and subscribe to our channel and get notified when we're or down in the valley when they go live. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ThePeel05. Hey, they can hear us.
Yeah, I know.
Nice. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ThePeel05. Go ahead and give us a like on Facebook, ThePeel2005. And be sure to check out our website, thepeellive.com, provided and hosted by Embrace Fusion Web Services. for business. Lastly, be sure to visit our friends over at Dynamo Theory. Check out their site, dynamotheory.com, and then follow them on Twitter at the Peel or at Dynamo Theory for all your Houston Dynamo and Dash news. And now for this week's show. What happened? Oh,
You breathing okay over there?
yeah.
All right.
MLS Live. What?
Am I muted still? I'm still muted, aren't I?
Oh yeah. No, now you're not.
I know how much you think of me, but thanks.
Oh, God. Might be the smoothest opening ever. I don't know. I stumbled because we changed up some of the words just a little bit on our opening. But, again, welcome this week, guys. We got a pretty full show for everybody.
It's Mardi Gras.
It is Mardi Gras. Let the good times roll. I made some gumbo for everybody before we got started. I got about the most New Orleans beer I could find. I know there's better, but I got some Abita. We got Brutus.
By the way, if we hit, how many likes are we hitting in order to keep him out here?
We'll give 10,
15.
15?
Yeah, because we hit 10 pretty quick. Actually,
Yeah.
You know what? We're going to go hardcore this week. 20.
Oh, 20 likes.
20 likes, and he'll stay out here for the entire
Well,
2
that
hours.
also means people are going to have to,
Share.
yeah, they're going to have to share this and then tell them, you better like this page.
Yes, that's how this works. Yes.
Oh, I'm talking technical difficulties. No, we have finally gotten to the point to where we pretty much have a pretty good lock on this whole thing. So that's pretty awesome.
That's a talking point later.
Really?
Yeah, they just
Holy.
Thank you, Cisco, by the way, for that on the group chat. Cisco will know exactly what I'm talking about.
God, I really want to curse because that's big because I almost paid for my subscription.
Well, that's better in my opinion. Look at.
Is it going to be free or is it going to be paid?
No, it's going to be paid for sure. It's going to be paid, but you might be able to. Well, no, because it's kind of like we'll get into.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Well, Cisco, if you can find more info, send a link to Sean so we can actually bring it up.
Yes, can you send me that tweet? Like, the
Yes.
actual, well, it's just a tweet right now. It's just a rumor type thing.
Okay,
But it's an
rumor.
officially confirmed rumor type thing.
All right. Well, this week's show.
It almost ties so perfectly into our first talking point this week.
Yes.
Like everything
well,
is gonna. No, it ties into that because
How's it
that's
tie into
all
that?
kind of.
I mean, besides growing your brand.
Some. That's big.
Yes. Oh, so before we get any deeper with that, we've got U.S. soccer presidential election stuff to talk about. The goods, the bads, mostly the bads.
Thank you, Cisco.
We've got Houston Dash stuff. God, we got a lot of breaks in here.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a lot because it's just one-sided. Last week was two-sided.
I'll write it in there. But
It's every 15. It's every 15 minutes.
Yeah, we've got.
Just know we're gonna start doing breaks regularly every 15 minutes because that way we kind of get on a schedule on them and just get used to it. So.
We've got Dash news. We've got Dynamo news. We've got news that broke after we ended last week's show. We have some personal news for me, which not really personal, but I just think it's cool for my news and notes. Throw that out there.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
We'll have Edson's Down the Valley segment.
Correct.
Let him whore his show out a little bit too, which you should definitely take a listen. I unfortunately wasn't able to watch because we've got time that we can bleed over our intro. How was working out down there at the Valley in the office, the box or the press box?
It was pretty interesting. There were some technical difficulties with the internet and stuff.
Go figure.
And so basically it was not until the second period where they actually fixed it and I was able to log in. And then as well, like I figured like that I would have enough time that they let the media in like around 4. Then have time to do a little podcast with Victor, but it just didn't happen. They didn't let anybody in until like 5. So
Wow.
Me and Victor just did something quick on the phone. Live.
Props to Victor too for coming out there and helping out. That was pretty badass having him be a part of our thing.
Absolutely. We are already at 5 likes, so you guys have 15 more likes to hit. So you better share and like this freaking video. I'm just saying.
Also, hey, if anybody knows, go ahead and DM us if you follow. If you could find a place where I can get a Dynamo dog jersey, because I have one. I have an Eagles one that he rocked during Super Bowl. I need to find one for a dog, a Dynamo one
For a dog.
for a dog.
For a dog.
Yeah.
Philly boy.
Oh, and can I just part of the reason I was not here last week? This has been the greatest. Really? So now I can't hear myself. That's fine. I'm gonna gloat
That's all
a
I
little
can
bit.
do from over here. So.
No, I am gonna gloat a little bit. Look, Edson, in case you were unaware,
Too far away.
is a Patriots fan. Look, your team's won 5.
Look at that. We've just gotten 5 down. Like, I'm just kidding.
Your team's gotten 5.
Feel free to hate this post now.
Jesus, shut up. Let me have my moment, okay? Excuse me.
And your moment is done. You have lost the moment.
It was. I don't know if you saw, but it's more of a personal moment in Philly because you've had family members that have never seen it, that have moved on and have been fans.
So to clarify, it was a personal moment in Philly, and then what happened the next day or a couple days later?
No, just a couple.
Actually, it was that night.
Yeah, that night
like they destroyed stuff all over the place.
Can you please let me have my moment?
Well, that was your moment.
No.
And then we were just explaining the moments that you were like, it was a personal moment.
I just
for
barely
Philly.
noticed that I still have my work badge on.
Like Andre says, just get the hell on with it, dude.
Well, if you shut up and I could finish it.
You're rambling like a man that's drunk.
Because I keep getting interrupted.
Go climb a
Thank
pole.
you, Cisco.
Nah, it was just really cool because I've been able to experience that in my lifetime. I saw the Phillies win, and just to be able, even though I live halfway across the country from my dad, it was a pretty personal moment to be able to call him and tell him, I'm sorry, Chris, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there. We fucking did it. It was one of those. It was kind of a relief, and I'll move on. But it was really cool to see my team finally has one.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna read that off when we get to that point.
Screw every Cowboys fan that likes to flash that in my face. How old are yours?
Yeah. Okay, that's great. All right, hey, it's time for a break.
No,
it's not.
No,
it's time for other stuff. Sorry.
Yes, we got time for other stuff.
So just give me that back. We're gonna get to that.
I was gonna breeze through it. All right.
I'll just read.
Anyways, back to the actually true football.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, there was an election Saturday, and election may be a bit too generous a word.
Yeah.
For
USSF.
U.S. Soccer Federation's president. There were 8 candidates in total, 6 of which were considered the quote-unquote change candidates. They were not part of the quote-unquote current establishment. And then 2 of the candidates, Kathy Carter and Carlos Cordero, were considered the quote-unquote establishment candidates. God, I can't talk tonight. And after 3 rounds of voting, Carlos Cordero came out as the official winner. Now, for those who don't know, Carlos Cordero was the VP, Vice President of United States Soccer Federation. The one thing that gives me a little bit of hope when it comes to Cordero is the fact that he is not necessarily a strict Sunil disciple. I say that because he had even come out previously and voiced some displeasures in a few things that Sunil had done, and he's even pushed for some things that Sunil was not a fan of. So that does give me hope, at least to some small, minor degree, that maybe to some effect he will be different than Sunil, at least in some ways. One of the things that I think irked me about Carlos Cordero during the election is that he became known as the guy who was doing backroom deals, i.e. the same thing we see with everything soccer when it comes to executive boards and executive councils, FIFA or otherwise. UEFA, I'm looking at you just as much as I'm looking at these guys. And at the end of the day, I think it was those backroom deals that put him in position to be able to win this election. The truth of the matter is that unless you were doing backroom deals, you were probably going to have no chance. At the end of the day, the only 2 candidates that actually stood a real chance in this election were Kathy Carter and Carlos Cordero. That first vote proved that in a landslide.
Oh, yeah.
And, it may have been different had Winalda pulled out or had Martino pulled out and their voting block gone to one or the other. But I think really what was frustrating for me is seeing that ultimately what won the election for Kathy Carter, whether people want to admit it or not, is the Major League Soccer voting block, the entire thing, which they hold. No, it wasn't the Athletes Council. They had already. It wasn't going to. That wasn't them. That percentage was already included in it. It was MLS switching from Kathy Carter to Carlos Cordero that won it for Carlos Cordero in the 3rd round. That's where that jump in percent and why Kathy Carter's percent decreased.
My question is, and call me like someone, a huge skeptic of that this whole thing. Do you believe that maybe Kathy Carter was a bait and switch. Like everybody focused their attention too much on Kathy Carter.
No,
Nobody
because-
really paid attention on Cordero.
No, Hope Solo paid all sorts of attention to Cordero. She did not back down from him whatsoever. And you know what? Look, I'm not a Hope Solo fan. Just like Justin has said previously, he's not necessarily a straight Hope Solo fan.
No.
But at the same time, what she did in this election, I don't appreciate how she did it sometimes. But the fact that she, A, did not back down, and B, she was willing to call it exactly as she saw it, I got to give her credit for that. I mean, that is... Excuse me, man, that gumbo. That is something we haven't seen from athletes in general, where they are willing to speak out and say, I don't agree with what's going on currently with our soccer federation. And one of the things that she said afterwards, which we'll get to in just a minute, because I think you got that quote somewhere, don't you? Or did you not pull up the Hope?
No, I do. I have her.
Well, that's her thing, but that's not the quote that was in there
no,
after.
I don't have the quote.
Yeah, I need you to find that quote because it's really important. I can kind of summarize part of that quote for you. 7, 13, should we go? Actually, I'm about to go to break. So I'll summarize the quote real quick, and then we can talk about it for just a minute, then we'll go to break. You misspelled quote. That's fine. Quote. Sorry. And there you go.
Would you just talk? Don't worry about me.
So Hope Solo basically, she said, I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed that Carlos Cordero won. She's mostly disappointed, according to her, that the Athletes Council voted as a voting block. Not that they voted for Cordero. She was not upset as much about that. She was upset that they voted as a block. And her point, which I think is kind of a bit of a valid point to some extent, is, what would have been the difference if they would have each voted separately, because they all get a vote. It's not like the Athletes Council only gets one vote. Yeah. They all get a vote. So she was just kind of a bit disappointed that they weren't able to stand up on their own 2 feet and say, I'm going to vote differently than the rest of the group. The fact that the entire group voted the same way kind of irked her a little bit, understandably so. And so I think, that was really her biggest disappointment in the whole thing, was that this group that she knows and has known well sat there and basically, it's not that they didn't vote for her. She could care less about that. That's not why, honestly, she knows that's not why she was in that race. Yeah. But it's the fact that they voted all the same way and nobody had the cojones to sit there and vote differently. Even though some of them said, I would have voted differently had we not voted block.
You are listening to The Peel on KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. When we get back, we'll pick up more on this conversation with Hope Solo and her statement. And then Jeff Cameron, too. We got a nice article from him. And he didn't hold anything back, as he shouldn't. And finally, I'm on his side. But, yes, when we get back, we'll finish continue this U.S. soccer talk.
Absolutely. You're listening to The Peel on KTXF-db, The Real, a Texas Sports Review Media Network. Listen to us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time on KTXF-db, The Real, via the TuneIn app on your smartphone or via TuneIn.com.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the Peel on KTXF-db, The Real, part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thank you to everyone tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and give this video a like and share it, and subscribe to our channel as well. Before we left, we were talking about U.S. soccer and the election. What?
Andres was like, give us the fantasy invite.
You'll get there.
Yeah, no, we will. I just want to throw that out there.
Patience,
if you are
young
listening
grasshopper.
or watching, and watching, well, you'll get it. You got to watch the whole 2 hours, man. We don't give things away for free around here. No. But I will give the link out. We will give it out. And that thing, sorry. I will give that link out in the YouTube chat. Actually, Edson will. At the end of the second hour, right before we basically close down the show. So that way, if you really are jerkish about it and don't want to watch the whole show, then peace out. We'll see you in 2 hours. But I'm just saying that maybe we leaked that a little early. I don't know. You should probably stick around and listen.
As of
Back
right
to
now,
United States Soccer.
well, as of right now, we only have 6 likes. So
Yeah, I know.
Bruce
Brutus
has
is
go in
about
his
to
kennel.
go away. No. We didn't say at the end of the first segment. We said at the end of the first hour. Because that gives him a whole hour out here for them
He's
to get
sleeping right now.
Well, yeah, but I'm gonna put him in his kennel because these people.
That's
don't
right.
wanna-
They're
don't
not
wanna
liking
like us.
enough. You got to like it. We need 14 more likes. Get your family and friends to like it. They don't have to watch. Just get them to like it. Share it.
I watched most of the election,
No,
and
Jose.
I have to say, one, I was extremely.
Why did you watch the election? Like, I watched
There was-
about
honestly-
30 seconds of it
Honestly,
online.
there was nothing else on TV.
There were Olympics on.
You know, I don't like the way the format is. I guess because it's on the other side of the world, I'd rather watch it live than
Yeah.
this NBC primetime
Thing
where it only shows the highlights.
So look, I'm not plugging Comcast. I'm really not. But you can. I love watching the highlights and stuff on Comcast because I only watch what I care to watch. So I mean, it's kind of cool. But enough about the Olympics. Let's go back to the other really crappy NGB.
So the final vote was 68% to Carlos Quintero.
That is not 68%. You need to include that point percent because that's
0.6.
quite a bit. That rolls up to
0.6.
69%.
Let's round up.
That's 69%. Kathy Carter got 10.6%. Now, what's important to this, Kathy Carter got 10.6%. Kyle Martino got 10.6%.
Yes.
Eric Winalda got 8.9%. Winalda, prior to this, in the second round, had 10.6% of the vote as well. So a portion of his percent also went Cordero in the process of all of this. And that's interesting to me. Also of note, Hope Solo never withdrew.
No.
Caligiuri.
Did you see? I think it was Steve Gans.
Steve Gans
Had 0.0%.
Yes.
He knew he wasn't going to get any. He withdrew in his speech beforehand that he basically said, "I'm withdrawing." And so yeah, Winograd, Caligari, and Gans all withdrew in the second round. And to be fair, I mean they weren't really. Caligari didn't get anything either. I think he had 0.1% of the vote.
So I'll link to this article and maybe I'll send it over to Edson so you can tweet it out. Jeff Cameron put out a very good piece in the Players Tribune where seems like he's finally had enough and he's finally said he's done being quiet and he's been outspoken before about this whole issue. Good. I know you got something.
My problem with this is he continues to come off like a whiny little brat about every. Sorry, I need to pull it closer to me. No, I don't. What the heck? That sounds weird. Maybe it's just in my headphones. He comes off as a whiny little brat about all this. Like, it's literally like I read his stuff, I hear him talking, I'm listening to him in interviews, whatever it is, and I'm hearing this consistently of it would have been different if XYZ had taken place. If I had been in the match, it would have been different. Blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, dude, look, you are months removed from this process now. Everything has already happened. I mean, you bitching and moaning about it, it's not going to change anything at this point.
No.
And it just comes off as him continuing to be sour grapes about everything.
And, I mean, although I like the article, I like where it goes, I 100% agree with you on that because I'll go back to the early days of this podcast when we were just doing a YouTube show. And Jeff Cameron had the nerve, his actual Facebook account, to comment in. And then when I give him a chance to actually back up his comments about ripping the front office, which, yes, we've done, but he was nowhere to be found. Never returned my emails. I even Facebook messaged him. Nothing.
And look, Jeff is a good guy. Don't get me wrong. Jeff is a good guy. He's got a good heart. He's passionate. The real problem is, though, if you're going to make these comments, if you're going to say these types of things, and I don't remember which of the candidates it was that said this, and it may have even been Cordero himself. Like, remain engaged. Don't just withdraw because people are saying, that don't withdraw from what you're saying or don't withdraw from trying to be proactive about things just because things don't go your way. You have to remain involved. You have to remain engaged with the process, engaged with what's going on. If you really, yes, Blues fan. Hey, Harry. You have to remain involved in the process if you want to see change. You can't withdraw simply because you don't get your own way. And that's what Jeff Cameron has done every time. When he doesn't get his own way, he withdraws from caring about it. He loses his passion for whatever it is. Whatever it is, that's exactly what happens.
Cisco,
frustrating as hell.
Cisco's 100% right. He was 100% wrong when it came to criticizing the Dynamo when they didn't hire Wade. That was his biggest thing. And, you know, my biggest thing is when you criticize, but then you don't want to back it up, or you're just going to throw some jabs and it just disappear. It makes you illegitimate when it comes to talking about anything.
Yeah.
Like, just go away. Now,
look, okay, if you're going to throw jabs, if you're going to say, "Oh, it's crap, it's you know, whatever, it's they're doing it wrong. This was a bad decision. This Dynamo front office, you know, not even just that, but US Soccer in general, they made the wrong decision, whatever it is." Have the balls to turn around if it works out and say, you know what, maybe I was wrong. Instead of finding a new subject
why do you
to
think
bitch
he's
about.
been mute about this whole thing?
No, absolutely.
The Dynamo have turned things around.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. They were a last place team 2 years
It's made him look
ago.
bad.
It makes him look like a jackass.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
if the shoe fits.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, right, the way I look at it, you've now had 2 organizations that you've bitched and moaned about them being bad after you played for them.
Yeah.
After things went sour with you.
What was the first one?
Dynamo
US
and
Soccer.
US Soccer.
Yeah.
So, to me, it just reads like a guy that's just a freaking prima donna. What's going to happen when
I
he's
was
playing for
just about
Stoke,
to say
right?
that.
What's going to happen when Stoke send him on somewhere else?
How old is he? He's 30.
29. I don't think he's 30 yet. 28, 29.
Okay. Well, your lifespan, unless you're, you know, world class.
Unless you're Beasley.
In EPL.
Yeah.
Just the EPL.
Yeah.
Is your cap's like 31, 32, unless you're
as a defender. Yeah.
Yes.
You can go maybe 1 or 2 more years as a defender.
But Jeff, what happens when you don't get minutes?
Yeah.
Is it Stokes' fault? No, you're getting old. It's called life.
Yeah.
Like,
no, yeah, absolutely. But, you know, on the flip side of it, look, I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to vouch for athletes in general. On the flip side of this, I mean,
we agree.
So on point, Andres, with the Alexi Lawless quote. You know, it's athletes have to have some sort of ego, right? You know, they always, you know, it's that drive, it's that determination to be the absolute best. But along with that, there has to be a level of humility and modesty that comes along with that. If you don't have that, you're just an asshole. And that is exactly what Jeff Cameron has become. Yeah. And it makes me so upset because this is a player who, frankly, a lot of fans put a lot of faith into. He's 33 in July.
Wow.
He's getting up there. Good God. That makes me feel old as dirt.
Cisco is our crack producer from another room.
No, Cisco's our stat man.
Yeah.
Dude, Cisco's always on the stats. He knows it. He knows. He loves the shout out, too. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, Andres, by the way. Oh, he's on his final year of his contract, too.
Ooh.
I don't think he's going to get a better contract. I think he's starting to struggle with injuries more and more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's been injured, what, twice the last 3 years?
Yeah, they're going to want more.
Andres was like, we have a DP slot open. Just kidding.
I don't
want Cameron back.
Hell
oh,
no.
God.
No,
Oh, he would have to take a pay cut, not a pay increase. And it would be below DP level at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Not at 33.
Could you imagine the Dynamo going with him with that offer, and he'd be
Adolfo
like,
Machado
really?
is younger than he is.
Oh yeah.
Jeff Cameron looks younger than Machado though.
But could you imagine that? Like Dynamo go up to him, hey, we'll give you like 100,000 to play this year.
No, we'll give you 300,000. We'll give you Rico Scott salary.
Okay, so 250. We'll call it 250. Could you imagine the look on Jeff Cameron's face when he got that paperwork?
Yeah, no, it'd be terrible.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no. Well, no. I mean, you say that, but if he doesn't get any other offers,
he'd rather go to League One in England.
The championship?
No, below the championship.
Oh, yes.
I don't know about that far down.
I don't think you'll ever see him in MLS again. Or
That's
at
okay,
least not here.
At 33 years old, he needs to be moving on to some other.
Well, he could always go to Leon.
He could go to Club Leon. That's a very good point. They like our old men's national team players.
They like our.
I mean, Puebla actually had DeMarcus Beasley too.
No, Beasley should stick around for a little longer.
No, I'm saying that Puebla had DeMarcus Beasley before.
Yeah. Oh, he means Liga MX in general. Oh, yeah.
But,
Liga MX, a retirement league.
So we've got a few more minutes, and we'll hit this discussion again after this break. So we've talked about the guy who's elected.
We haven't finished with that.
Well, no, but there's nothing we can do to guys elected.
Correct.
Where does U.S. Soccer, MLS, USL, NASL, where does everything go from here?
Well, and so I teased this out for those of you in the YouTube chat or from the Dynamo Discord that, not the Dynamo Discord, Twitter? Was it Twitter I teased it out on? Yeah, it was Twitter. That I was in the midst of this amazing discussion, very thought-provoking discussion with one of my friends on Twitter, and you know, we were discussing this whole thing in general, and it made me realize that, to be honest with you, I don't think it would have necessarily mattered who was voted anyways, because what is really available for them to be able to do? As president of U.S. Soccer, what is your actual role?
Well, also, from what Jason Davis was saying today, is that there's also general managers and stuff now, so the president actually doesn't have as much.
And I'm going to give Cordero credit, and this is where we need to really give him credit. He was pushing for both general manager positions to be added to the U.S. Soccer staff. Executive staff, not executive staff, national team staffs. So there's going to be a general manager of the women's side and a general manager of the men's side. Cordero even said in an interview, and it wasn't with Jason Davis himself, but it was him talking about it, that on Soccer America.
United States
of Soccer. I knew it was one of the two. He was talking about, and it may have just been Jason quoting Cordero, but basically Cordero said to some extent that, you know, they hadn't really made the decision yet of how much power these guys were going to have as GMs, that they may even be able to go beyond just the national team into the whole development process as well and start helping build some of that up as well.
You mean lower the cost?
So basically become more of a technical director instead of just a general manager. But we're going to discuss more on this coming up shortly. And I want to get into this thought-provoking discussion because it's going to open so much for us to discuss about.
You're listening to the PO on KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. When we get back, we'll dive deeper into just the incumbent. Actually, he's not even an incumbent. He's officially the president now.
He's the president.
Because there is no window.
Yeah,
anyway, we'll dive more into Carlos Cordero and what it could mean for the leagues and the development in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then finally move into some Dynamo stuff. Yay.
Whatever.
No.
Whatever.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Like and share.
Bueno, soy Alejandro Fumayor y me estás escuchando por RGVFC.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the PO on KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thank you to everyone tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and give this video a like, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Before we left, we were talking about Carlos Cordero.
Damn, you read through that like a champ.
I'm getting better, man. Getting better with age.
Must be that Eagles victory glow.
It's like Beasley.
It's like a prime rib. Gets better with age. A fine wine.
But you guys, we need more shares and likes because
we have 12 to go. You guys are killing me. Come on this week, guys.
Bruce is going in his kennel.
No, you know what? We are. Wait. No, let's give him till 45. Let's give him one more break.
Okay,
one more break.
Okay, how about this? 20 likes and I leave the show.
20 likes. 20 likes and Edson goes in the kennel.
How many can we give? Am I able to give 10 from my different devices? Is that okay?
Edson goes in the kennel.
Oh, damn. Wrong show. Wrong show. That's something totally different. Anyways, before we went to break, we were talking about United States Soccer, and we were talking about the Federation. We were talking about Carlos Cordero. The discussion I had, and I've been wanting to fill in. Yeah, I know. Do I need to fill in that extra? Oh, there we go. We were talking about, and so the discussion came up, and like I started saying, it was about, God, I really should not be writing while I'm trying to discuss what the heck we're supposed to be talking about. Clickbait. He didn't eat poo in the streets after the victory. Oh, God.
No, I was gonna make you wear the Eagles jersey on air tonight.
But you don't have it, right?
I got a couple.
We'll make him wear it.
Do you really think I'd have just one?
Second hour.
Do you really think I'd have just one?
That's fair. Second hour. Second hour. How about that? Second hour. He'll wear it. He'll wear it. Second hour.
I'm gonna make him.
If we get 15 likes, he will wear that jersey for the entire second hour.
Yeah, that's a good.
5 more.
That's because you guys here don't know how to party in Houston. I'm going to leave that alone.
We also don't know how to destroy our own property.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just saying. Just saying.
Because there's no real passion.
That's a lie. That is
Anyway,
a complete lie.
Carlos Cordero.
Oh, yeah, let me... Oh, Jesus. Good catch. So let me continue with the thought-provoking discussion. So we were discussing it. So I know one of the things that kept getting... Blues fans like, wow, this totally went off the rails. Oh, damn, Harry. Damn.
Before you finish that, I'm going to go ahead and read this article for KTXF. Harry Austin, who also doesn't like RGV...
who's a San Antonio FC fan, by the way.
Said, didn't the Dynamo already put RGV into kennel a couple of weeks ago? Too soon?
Oh. Damn. Hashtag 9-1. All right. So, anyways, and that was only in 3 periods, by the way. Oh man, just terrible. We talked about that, by the way, on Down in the Valley.
Hashtag dead. All right, good with Cordero.
Yeah, so Cordero. Well, not just Cordero, but in general, U.S. Soccer Federation.
Yeah.
So the big talk going into the election and during the election, during the campaigning cycle, was there's a $150 million surplus. Mm-hmm. That sounds great on paper.
It's not.
But that's not much at all.
It's really not.
So here's where I took a step back and I was kind of like, well, why didn't any candidates actually point that out? Like, that was Sunil and Kathy Carter's, and even Carlos Cordero to some extent. That was their big trumpet. Like, we have a $150 million surplus. We're in great shape. When I start earmarking, I mean, Cordero...
That's only a little bit more than what MLS clubs as a whole pay out.
Well, no, it's exactly how much they pay out now. It's 150. So Carlos Cordero, even during campaigning, because other candidates started pointing out 150 million, there's a lot we could do with 150 million. We could start ending pay to play and whatever, not that. But he pointed out, we've already earmarked 125 million of that for programs within U.S. soccer. That's not a surplus. That is our budget for the year.
Yes.
You know, it's not it's profit, but it's profit that already is bled into things that are needing to be paid for. So on top of that, so that's really 25 million is really left to spend for the federation. What can you really do with 25 million when you're talking a country the size of the U.S.? Can you really improve coaching licensing that much with 25 million? No, you can't, because you're not going to be able to afford to do much with it. Can you really improve the youth development system? That's what, 3 academies, 4 academies, 5 academies in the system at 5 million each? That's if you're lucky you can start that and build that out. Yeah. What can you really do? Can you really improve the women's game with $25 million? You can increase their budgets, their salaries a little bit, because it's paid through U.S. Soccer, except for the NWSL budgets. But, it's still not going to add up to anything. So all these things that all these candidates, these change candidates were talking about, there was no hope of that stuff ever happening in their terms. It's going to be something that we're going to have to continue to grow the business side significantly and substantially in order to even come close to where we need to get to.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. If Germany was able to do it within, what they do,
Germany
2 or
has
1, or 1 or, no, hold on, 1 or 2 World Cup cycles, because it wasn't that many.
Yes.
Totally
different situation.
Well, they also didn't have pay to play.
Smaller, they do have pay to play. It's a different style of pay to play. They have pay to play. It's a smaller federation. Mm-hmm. It is a smaller country. Their players in that country make a substantially more amount, and it's not paid for by the federation. Lawmakers in their country have also made specific laws to help with that process. It wasn't just the federation. It was the country itself coming together to make it happen.
Yeah.
So one of the things that came up, and it is the point that I want to make tonight specifically to those fans that feel like they are left out in the dry with this election, nothing is going to change until we see an increase in profit. And it's not going to just be profit in terms of match to match. It's not going to be profit in terms of just MLS or NWSL. It's got to be profit on the whole. You're not going to increase profit by lowering the cost to get into a match for a U.S. soccer match. You're not, because here's the thing: at the 80, so let's say they moved it from an 80,000 seat stadium that's only getting 5 to 10,000 fans coming in. If they move that to a 20, 30,000 seat, if they move it to BVVA from NRG, that's 75,000 to 22,000. Mm-hmm. You're reducing it down by roughly 50,000. If you lower those ticket prices, even in that process of doing that, you're still not making an additional profit.
So then how do you increase profit without increasing ticket prices?
So it's all about how do you balance the budget to better leverage the tools and the resources you already have.
How many not women's games? How many men's games have you been to?
U.S. men's games?
Yes.
4.
4?
I have never traveled for one,
Okay.
but I've been to multiple here in Houston.
If Megan was out here, I'd ask her because I know when I went.
Hey, Megan, if you're watching, feel free to come out because this is
Yes.
a good one for you to get engaged with.
Megan, I need you. I know when I first went to
And
the
he
US,
didn't just mean that as he needs you in general. There's a need.
when I went to U.S. Mexico and San Antonio.
And I agree with Andres. He says, but yes, Germany is a different scenario.
I
completely agree with
think
you.
even though it was a friendly, it was still U.S. Mexico. I think maybe I paid $25-$30 a ticket.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now for the AO section,
But how
it's
long ago was that?
Not 4 years ago.
That's
No,
that's
it was. It
substantial.
wasn't. It was. Matter of fact, that was the first goal Jordan Morris scored. It was
Yeah,
that
that
game.
was about 2 years.
Yeah, it's been
I
more than
can
2
get
years
in-
now.
Was it?
Yeah, because it was before I was dating Megan.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was when, matter of fact, it was when I first really made my commitment to follow U.S. soccer that hard.
Blues, what are you talking about? One. It's not 10 o'clock yet. I don't know what they're talking about.
Me
I
neither.
don't know. I don't know, but I was mad at that game.
Sorry, bro.
You know what though? But for me to go, that was my first U.S. match.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well,
I mean, that
so
place was rocking.
Legit, my
Yes.
first U.S. match in the American Outlaws section was the match, the Copa whatever here.
Argentina?
Centenario?
Yes, Argentina. Holy crap.
That was your first match?
That was my first American Outlaws match ever.
I didn't know you sat in this section.
I did. I sat next to Alex Gum, and we were sitting next to, and I don't remember who it was. Who I was sitting next to?
I'll have to show you.
I was sitting like one row away from Megan.
Oh, okay. So I was row right behind net.
Yeah.
And matter of
we were
fact,
we were 2 rows away and didn't even know.
Whenever you see pictures of Messi scoring that goal, my reaction.
Oh, dude, no. I was
Yes,
just
you
like,
were,
oh,
Megan.
God.
Well, actually, my first.
Oh, Blues fan was saying he's only been to one U.S. men's national team. Oh, the semifinal.
But I mean, now those tickets were dumb expensive, even for the section.
But part of that is tournament organization, right?
Yeah.
That comes from the tournament
That's for
organization,
Conmebol.
not just United
That's
States
okay.
Soccer Federation.
My
Like
my first game, U.S. soccer game, was just this past against Costa Rica at AT&T Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, getting kind of back, yes, Megan, Justin needs you. Yes, you were called, Megan. We want you. We need to ask you a question about.
Hey, everybody in the
US
chat,
soccer.
just start typing Megan's name
No,
repeatedly.
she's no, don't be that mean.
No, don't be that
She's
mean.
on her way. Don't bring up anything at a USA game of Mexico.
There's stories that I'm not going to go into, especially the Mexico match. I'm not going any deeper into that. I'll tell you guys on break.
No, you're not going to tell us at all.
Oh, it's funny.
You respect your girlfriend, damn it.
No, it's not. It's not disrespectful. It's just funny.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's
Yeah.
better. Anyways, so getting back to the point at hand. So the main thing that I'm trying to get across. So part of the that's okay. She doesn't watch our show. It's all good.
Oh, thanks. She wants me to propose to her,
At least she admitted she's watching Shark Tank.
but she wants me to
At least
propose
she's
to her,
honest.
and I get told that she's watching Shark Tank instead of me. I see where your loyalty lies.
I mean, it's Justin, so yeah.
That's not me.
That's her. She's walking out.
Go ahead with this, and I'll get the answer.
Yeah. Okay. So what I was gonna say, shut up, Cisco. The thing that I'm trying to get across here is, and I kind of forgot to say this, right? So who are the voters for U.S. Soccer Federation, right? They're the executive council, they're the athletes council, they're the youth council,
MLS.
they're the adult council or adult leagues or whatever, and then there's MLS and NWSL, and then there's a couple of other entities out there as well. The thing is these voters, they're all entrenched in the system already. They're already in this political system. They're in this, profit system based on sum and everything else.
So basically, like these change candidates, they put in all their efforts in the wrong places.
Correct.
No, not necessarily, because it was never
hold
going
on
to change
to interrupt you guys before I forget.
That's fine.
Megan was saying in the AO section. Now, granted, this is AO. This is not regular ticket sales. But when she first started going, tickets were only $20 to $30 for the section.
Yeah.
Now, when she went to the CONCACAF playoff to get in the Champions League, they were $120 a piece for the AO section.
Well, of course,
And-
but
but mind you, that's a stadium that's the third biggest stadium in the U.S. There's no reason those tickets should be $120. You're making your money.
Basically, nearly sold that stadium out.
Oh no, I think it was considered a sellout.
It was considered
Yes.
a sellout because it was Argentina. That's the reason the prices were so high.
Yeah,
it
'cause
was not American Outlaws. It was not USS Soccer.
No, but they had a huge.
Yeah, because
AO
I
had a
think
huge
against
section.
Costa
No,
Rica
they did, yeah.
for the Gold Cup, the
That
one
was
I
what,
went to at
65 or 70?
I think it was $70 because
Yeah.
I wanted to take my cousin with
Hashtag
AO.
Justin's a jerk. But seriously, though, like, who are the voters for this election? And those voters are they're entrenched in the U.S. Soccer Federation in
Yes.
terms of youth council, adult council, athletes council, et cetera, et cetera.
With this election, I almost paid for a U.S. soccer membership.
But would it have really mattered for you?
Not
right?
really, because it's almost at that point for fans, it was almost like an electoral college.
It was. It's exactly
Whoever got
what
whoever got the popular vote, and that got all those votes for them.
which were negligible in the grand percentages of things. It really was. So what I'm trying to get at, though, is forget the change candidates for a minute, because it wouldn't have mattered. Nothing with them was going to matter. What was important in this election is that the discussions themselves were taking place, that at least to some degree, some of these councils saw that there's a need for some kind of change. Regardless of who won, at least their voice was, hey, we do need to do something about this. We need to figure out a way to fix this. So we've been talking about that, and I think after this coming upcoming break, after the break, we'll talk about what can actually be done going forward. I know you kind of wanted to get to that.
What can or what we want?
Both. We can hit both. We can hit the can and the want. But, just remember, I know you feel dejected because Carlos Cordero won, so it's the establishment, it's it's whatever. I was kind of pissed off myself. But after I had those discussions, I started to realize that there is hope. There is possibilities for change. One of the biggest things that we can do as fans, and this is important, I need to say this before we go to break, and this will be the last thing I say before break, is stay involved. There are opportunities for you to volunteer. There are opportunities for you to get involved with American Outlaws. There's opportunities for you to reach out to your, to various programs, various youth council stuff.
Yes.
Get involved with wherever you can. If you love soccer and you're passionate about soccer in this country, get involved. That's first and foremost what has to happen. 3 more likes for the Eagles jersey. He's right.
Ha.
So we have, we said we would go until 8 for that one. So we have 17 minutes for that. 8 more likes, and we will bring Brutus back out.
Well,
he's asleep.
He's
asleep.
out, like knocked out.
Well, but he's behind me, so I will actually move my seat to the other side, and we will let him see.
We'll
yes,
give him a
Megan,
like.
Brutus made a like. I mean, Brutus made a like. Brutus made an appearance. Andres, you're correct. I mean, we will do it at 20 likes.
All right, guys.
Flashbacks to band camp.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That's a break story right there.
You were listening to the PL KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. When we get back, we'll dig deeper on what we want U.S. Soccer Federation in the direction we want them to go, and what may happen or some of the early
What we'd like to see
Yes.
and what we expect
Yes.
to actually see. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, guys, again.
Hey, this is AJ De La Garza. You're listening to The Peel.
Yeah, we're at 13.
Thank you guys for tuning into another edition of the PO on KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thank you to everyone tuning in on YouTube and Facebook as well. Go ahead and give this video a like, share it, and subscribe to our channel. If we get to 15 likes, Edson has to wear this beautiful Eagles jersey.
One like away. Where's Liam? Liam would be the one to like it last. Liam, I'm just saying this is set up for you to like it, to make him wear the Philly Eagles jersey.
But before we went on break, we were talking about Carlos Cordero and some of the things that we want to see. We want to see from him personally. Oh, put it on. Oh, put it on.
Oh, snap.
Personally,
Well, we're gonna actually pause for just a second while he puts
Yeah, go
this
ahead.
on.
Go
I
ahead.
want to make. We're gonna do. Do you need to get up and actually help him get it on?
no, he just needs to put it on to be a man.
Butters, put it on. Butters, put it on.
I'm gonna need an
16
acid
likes.
bath after this. Oh
That's okay. They changed our
Hey.
aerators and our tub things. So
You know what, though? Those are the colors of a team that doesn't cheat.
That's not true. The Eagles did cheat at one point, but we'll talk about that later. We'll get into it.
That's an official's judgment call, and he did not call. So
I'm not even talking about that. We'll talk about it later. Come on, we're off track. We're off track. Do we get a strip show blues? I don't know what you're into, bro, but no. So anyway, man, all right, y'all are way off track.
Okay.
So U.S. soccer, what do we want to see? And then, so let's start with what we want to see.
Okay.
And then we can kind of pare that down to what we actually expect to happen. So what do I want to see? Okay, I'm going to go last because I don't want you guys to take my things.
Okay.
So, Justin, let me ask you, as a U.S. soccer fanatic, and I consider you to be one.
Yes.
Give me 5 things that you want to see happen in the next. Let's go even beyond his reign. Let's go 8 years. In the next 8 years, what do you want to see?
Because essentially we have 8 years. We have 8 years to get it right.
the World Cup.
Yes.
And you know what? I need a pen that I have in my hand.
Okay, so
I feel so dirty right now.
you look fantastic. So honestly, I want to see a lowering of pay to play. Now I know because we've operated so long with pay to play, there's no way that you can just get rid of it. The federation would fall apart. As much as I want it, there's no way it's going to happen.
Okay.
I think that they should invest that money, and instead of a coach getting paid $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, which I've seen, I feel like his salary should be less. But if he's going to make that money, he needs to be in all aspects of it.
So just real quick, because it's hilarious what Edson just did. So Edson typed in 5 rings or more than 11, Megan. I mean, 1. You can't even type the number of rings in properly, dude. Are you that distraught over wearing this jersey? All right, what's number 2?
Number 2, definitely ticket price sales. I think they need to go down.
Is this specific to just U.S. men's game, or are we talking U.S. women's games, national games, essentially? National team matches?
Both. I mean, although I think women's games are very affordable, the price of men's games have skyrocketed. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut it by 60%, 70%, but I think that ticket prices need to stay pretty affordable. And I also think that, yes, as an AO member, I will pay a ticket price no matter how much it is, as long as it's in the state of Texas. But part of it is because I can't travel all that much.
Of course, I understand.
But I do think that the AO and whatever other supporters group, the Sammers, whatever, I think that they're your driving force to giving you home field advantage.
Agreed.
They should be their ticket prices, unless it's a premier event, shouldn't be any more than $50.
Okay.
You want your section packed, loud, crazy. You know what? Lower the price because they're going to buy more beer and they're going to be behind your team even more. And I feel that gives you your home field.
Yeah.
Cap it at 50, leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's in a bigger venue like the Rose Bowl or the LA Coliseum, cap it at 30. You can afford it. The stadium's huge. You know?
But the thing is, okay, well, we'll get into that in a minute. All right, number 3. I got to keep you rolling on this.
Number 3. I think you do need to have discussions with MLS and it needs to be, you need to open the wallets up and you need to give owners stricter guidelines to follow with how much you are required to spend. I think that you're going to, and I was talking to you earlier about this, Sean, that you're going to see within the next 3 to 4 years a greater divide between the teams that will pay and the teams that will not. MLS is going on a route, which is okay, where these owners are all in and they're throwing a ton of money. Look at Atlanta. Look at Toronto. Seattle's right there in the middle of the road. But you see these clubs and they're throwing money out there. There needs to get to a point where MLS is going to be, you either pay or we're going to try to push you to sell your team.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean relocation like in the pre-court situation, but I think that you either need to pony up or leave because this isn't, it's going to stun your growth.
And number 4.
Number 4.
You got 2 more to go.
Shit.
Do you want us to come back to you?
Come back to me.
All right, so real quick, while we have a break, 9 minutes, 8.5 really minutes. I need to see 4 more likes in 8.5 minutes for Brutus to stay out here, or he's going in with Megan. 8.5 minutes, folks. The time starts
Oh, and okay, so I do have 4.
Okay, all right.
And Austin brought up a good point. The U.S. Open Cup. You need to go full steam ahead with this. Get sponsorship, up your money that you give to the winning team. Now, granted, 9 out of 10 times they're going to be an MLS team, but you need to, like we do with our show, because you'll see after we podcast this, I am tweeting it out every day, 4 times a day at least. You need to do it. You need to put it on national TV, whatever station that may be, or you need to put it on ESPN3 or free on YouTube. But you need to get it out there. You look at every other league, German Cup. Don't ask me how to say the German name. The Spanish Cup, the FA Cup. They're big tournaments there. And the Open Cup needs to be the same way. It's one of the oldest running tournaments in the world.
Oh, you mean the DFB Pokal?
There you go. Props to Edson.
Snap.
Holy hell.
He pulled that out like it was nothing. We'll get to those points in a second. I just want you to list out. So you have one more. Are you going to use it or are you going to pass it?
Blues fan. Elaborate a little bit on that. I don't think it hinders.
We're gonna discuss these.
Okay.
And we'll let them chime in. That's why I'm trying to get them all now so they can chime in now.
Good.
All right. So your 5 is done. You still got 5, so you still have one more. Okay. Edson, what are things that you would change? 5 things you would change if you were president and had the power to actually change things.
Well, I try to pretty much revamp the scouting process into finding the younger talent, help the youth academies be able to not charge as much. Pretty much what he said, lowering pay to play. Another one would probably be, try to bolster up the lower divisions as well. Open Cup as well. Try not to rely too much on NCAA for as far as draft picks for our young squad. That way, for example, these kids will be ready to probably be professional at a young age when they're ripe, rather than when they're like 23, 24, where a lot of other countries believe that, well, they're already past their prime, or that sweet spot where you can develop them.
Yeah.
Okay. So before I even get into my 5, I'm going to throw some real big wrenches in your works. Number 1, pay to play is not going anywhere because there has to be income.
And I don't want it to go away.
I know. Let me finish.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it can't be lowered. However, we have to consider, again, look at the surplus they currently have. That $25 million does nothing for pay to play.
No.
Not across the entire U.S. So one of the things that's going to lower pay to play, and this was on Jason Davis this morning as well, it's going to be a grassroots efforts. If you want to see pay to play lowered in your area, specifically in your region, in your city, in your part of Houston, get out there and start to fundraise. Use an opportunity, find an opportunity to fundraise, and scholarship a kid to the Dynamo Academy, to whatever. Create an opportunity for him.
Put it up there almost as kind of like a draft thing. If it comes up through U.S. Soccer Academy, not MLS Academy.
Correct.
And okay, we got this guy, and the highest bidder gets him.
So, not only that. I mean, I'm not thinking about it. So this is just a grassroots level thing. So skip out U.S. Soccer entirely.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, it's not going to change as far as U.S. Soccer goes, because that's a revenue generator that they absolutely need. Sunil came out and he said if they were to eliminate pay to play completely, it would cost them $150 million per month to eliminate it. That's how much they're revenue generating per month.
Do you think that then that's been the problem from the start? Maybe they shouldn't have went that route. At least that much money.
They needed it. Again, the money is what makes this entire ship stay afloat.
And I get that. But maybe say instead of saying, hey, this is how much a family's going to pay, it should have been this much. So then
Well, the problem is that the individual regions and the individual leagues and the individual teams dictate the actual amount that it costs for that to happen. So that's pay to play. Pay to play is not going to change. Pay to play is going to cost way too much money to even begin to attempt.
Yes.
Number 2, ticket prices to men's national team and women's national team prices being lowered. The problem is the people paying for this are not strictly U.S. soccer. You're talking about your local entertainment groups that are bringing teams in. They need a chunk of change. The problem is when you lower those ticket
Not
prices.
if it's sanctioned. If it is, unless it's a friendly, no.
But friendlies are really the driving ticket prices.
Yes.
Now, your tournament matches, it's because they're recouping it because of the teams that they're playing in tournament play. So that's number 2. Number 3, MLS and some are going to, you want them to open their wallets and stricter guidelines and cap minimums. Like we were talking about, that could happen. That I could see that feasibly happen within the next 8 years. Easy for me to say. Next 8 years. But there's going to have to be some things that are going to have to change within MLS. And owners that are currently in there, Don Garber came out and said this, the owners that are currently part of this group are owners that bought in based on one set of rules. If you go and change those rules, you are basically saying to them that the rules that you bought into no longer apply. That would piss me off as an owner.
So when we get back, we'll finish this some more. We'll get Sean's points, and I'll rehash on mine just a little bit, I guess, because I do need some clarification.
Yep. And guys, just so you know, keep on YouTube chat. Continue to put points down. Continue to bring counterpoints.
Brutus can stay, by the way.
And we made 20, so Brutus can stay.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Or actually, wrong read. You guys are listening to the Peel on KTXF-db, part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. When we get back, we'll pick up more on this conversation. And then I also want to throw in after the top of the hour to how this affects MLS.
Yeah. Oh no,
absolutely. In that route.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Peace.
Tune in to The Peel, Houston's favorite soccer live radio show focusing solely on professional soccer in the greater Houston area. The Peel airs every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time on KTXF-db The Real, available via the TuneIn app on your smartphone and on The Peel's YouTube channel.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of The Peel on KTXF-db The Real, part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thank you to everyone tuning in on YouTube and Facebook as well. Go ahead and give this video a like, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Before we left, we were talking... Edson, you got to go in the kennel. We were talking about Cordero and what it means for U.S. soccer and some of the things that we want to see. Sean had, 3 more points? 2 more points? Or no, you were just rehashing on mine.
I've got my points, but I still
let me. I guess what I'll do is I'll go back on mine. I agree with the statement that you kind of can't do that to the owners, but like I was telling you guys on break, at some point MLS is going to have to force its growth, opposed to letting it happen organically. At some point, because like I was saying,
so
you don't want to.
Where does this come into play? It comes into play in the CBA. That is how they can begin to pressure the ownership to change some of the things that they've accepted as the norm, as the status quo. You pressure them through the CBA, which we know is about to come up and be something we're going to have to address anyways.
But my fear is,
Blues, I wouldn't even do that to my worst enemy.
My fear, though, is I don't want to see this be a La Liga, a Bundesliga type of issue where you have the same 3 teams at the top of MLS, and that's it. I don't want to see that problem. I'd rather see, any given year, you could have Minnesota winning a title. You could have the Union finally turning things around because there's more equal money. There's not such a huge divide, you know? And I know you can't force owners because they bought in at a certain, it's almost like a stock. They bought in at a certain rate. That's what they're willing to do. They're not willing to go up.
So, real quick before you kind of continue, somebody asked Tony Yayo asked, what happened to Kathy Carter? She was supposed to win. Kathy Carter lost because she was never going to get more than whatever percent she got during the first round of voting. She was not going to be one of those candidates that was going to acquire additional votes because her connection to the candidates that focused on her opened up that there's a real conflict of interest possibility there. And I think Edson kind of hit on it. She kind of felt like she was running because she was told to run, because she was put out there as an opportunity to deflect any focus on Carlos Cordero and his connection to USSF, existing establishment and that sort of thing. But I also think at the end of the day, one of the things that he leveraged really well is, hey, I am the establishment. To some extent, I'm different than them, but I also am them, which means, what you're used to, what you're comfortable with, I can keep that going, but I can do it in a way that at least shows we're willing to change. So I think that's how he won. Anyways, I just want to throw that out there.
Can I add a 6? And I hope it's not one of yours.
You haven't hit 5.
Okay.
This is 5.
Oh, that's right. And I know it probably is one of yours, but there is no reason in hell that the women should be being paid substantially less than the men.
Actually, it's not one of mine simply because I'll go into that.
Look above that U.S. crest on a women's kit. What's there?
Stars.
How many? 3. How many are above the men's crest? And Hope Solo brought up a really good point before the election took place. And this is one thing that will stick with me. She was forced to play 23 games during the World Cup, the Olympic run, and the ensuing friendlies that were played in the She Believes Cup, all that stuff, in 1 year. Okay? She got paid
nonsense then because she couldn't stick with the team.
She got paid garbage for that. All right, I forgot the number that she threw out there.
20. Well, it's less than 20,000.
Okay.
It was really, really low. Surprisingly.
Tim Howard plays 8 games, misses the World Cup, gets paid twice as much, 3 times as much as Hope Solo.
So there's two sides to this argument, and I am, as everybody knows who follows the show, I am highly women's soccer pro, women's soccer, in general. But there's two sides to this argument. One is, the men generate more revenue, but on the flip side of that, why is that? Is
there's not a push.
It's exactly right. There's no push from a marketing standpoint. Yes. There's no push from an advertising standpoint. There's no push from the federation. There's no push from the local. There's no push from the league. That's why they honestly why it is the way that it is. So that is kind of one of mine, right? It's them pushing things properly, pressuring some to advertise and not spread the wealth, but advertise. And one of my things is actually to pressure some to open up internet stream options for every league, every tournament that they represent for viewing rights and broadcast rights. You forgot a space in there.
Blame Butters.
Thank you, Tony, by the way, for the sub. You were amazing.
Welcome.
Indeed, what he said. But to open that's actually my 5th one, which I think is kind of funny.
Well, go ahead and get in yours. And
so one is, and you hit on it, the Open Cup sponsorships. I think that's a big thing. They need to push for that because it helps them in a lot of different ways and opens the door for sponsorships in tournaments other than the Open Cup, which we need tournaments other than the Open Cup. Number 2, he hit it. Bolster Division 2, bolster Division 3, bolster PDL, bolster the lower divisions. How you do that, I don't have the logistics behind that. I don't. That is if I had the logistics behind that, believe me, I'd be making more than I am, which is nothing for U.S. soccer, just so it's clear. And then number 3 is encourage U.S.'s, and this was amazing, you encourage U.S.'s best players, the younger players, to actually go overseas. They get a better technical education overseas than they get here. Yes. This ties into my next point. Reduce the coaching requirements for licenses. This is not just the cost, but the credit hours required by enabling coaches that have gone overseas to coach for an academy overseas, to coach for a second or third team, a reserve team from an elite team over there, even as an assistant coach. Give them extra credit hours for that. because they're coming back to the U.S. with a technical acumen, a technical understanding of the game at a significantly higher level than coaches that stay here nationally and don't leave. And it's the same thing with our players that go overseas. So you give them credit for doing the time and doing the work. They don't do that right now.
There's one thing I wanted to interject in that, because you talked about going overseas. I think part of this plays into MLS as well, and the stigma that we have where if you don't play in MLS, we kind of don't want you. And I've gotten that a little bit to where U.S. men's soccer national team wants players to stay here. I want the opposite. Now, granted, I want to see this league grow, and we were talking about this.
Here's the thing. Look at the players that have gone overseas, right? Yes. And I'm just talking just the current generation of youth right now.
Weston McKennie, Josh Sargent, Christian Pulisic, Jeff Cameron I'll throw in there, John Brooks I'll throw in there.
DeAndre Yedlin is far and away above.
What they were talking about in the day. A newer guy that just signed.
Zach Steffen is another one. He went overseas and just came back. Zach Steffen, even though he wasn't getting minutes, he got the technical time there.
But I think
Brad Guzan.
If you're U.S. soccer, great. If a player comes up through an MLS academy, great. And this brings up another point. I let him go overseas.
Solidarity payments.
That builds your brand. Yes, MLS essentially created this guy. They founded him. They gave him his early training. But now here,
so Harry brings up a good point too. We saw that more with Bruce. With if you're not a U.S.-based MLS player, don't expect to really get a call up. I think that's only true to some degree. I think Klinsmann even was kind of that, not necessarily MLS specific. He tended to shy away from MLS players, but I think there's a balance to be made there. There are some players that come up in the MLS academies that, you know what, you need to give an opportunity if they come to the youth team, or you need to give an opportunity if they show that they can play at that level. But here's the thing, and this was actually said on Jason Davis's show earlier as well. I love that show, by the way. Between Jason Davis and Counterattack, that's great. Sirius XMFC. By the way, if you guys need an extra show, just throw that there. Anyway, but it was brought up on his show that if you're going to have these players going overseas, you need to be willing to sell them to to other teams overseas. You need to be willing to let them grow overseas. The best players we have, when they go overseas and come back, they are substantially better than players that stay here.
Yep.
Now, the other thing is, and it ties into a conversation we had on Down in the Valley, it ties into a conversation we had during our Dynamo Power Hour thing last week. The reality is this. Just because a player goes overseas does not guarantee them a spot on the U.S. men's national team. Just because a player is in MLS does not guarantee them a spot on the U.S. men's national team. They have to earn it. The problem ties into the scouting that he was talking about. How do you find those players that are doing the hard work in other places, in other areas? How do you find the players that are sitting there, not necessarily on a street corner necessarily, but they're in their, not necessarily Sunday rec league, but they're at the club level and they're not being discovered, and they have the talent, they have the technical attitude or aptitude, they have the love and the passion for the game, but they're not being discovered because they don't fit what that coach thinks they should fit. Too many U.S. soccer coaches in this country, I'm not talking at the pro level, I'm not talking at the semi-pro level, I'm talking at the youth level. Too many focus on one thing, and that is building athletes. They do not focus on building soccer players. We have to become a country that focuses on building soccer players first and foremost if we ever want to compete at the international stage at the highest level and ever have an opportunity to get a World Cup.
It reminds me of one time I was listening to Glenn Davis' show. He had somebody that called in and they were talking about Jonathan Gonzalez, because I think he is the founder of a youth club around here. So basically he was saying that a lot of the times also, because he was talking about why is there not a lot of young Hispanic talent being discovered, for the U.S. Why are they leaving for Mexico? And one of the things he said is because U.S. coaches, their type of training or their type of tactics are completely different than what Hispanics for the most part are used to seeing, which is more of a possession based, and in the U.S. it's more about kind of getting that ball away from
exactly. So in the U.S. it's about pace and it's about pace and physicality.
Yes.
Look at DeAndre Yedlin, pace. Look at Jeff Cameron, physicality. Nothing else. In the international game, it's about technical. It's about technical mind. It's about being able to respond quickly to the situations. It's about the technique. It's about the technique. Thank you. It's about the technique, and we just don't see it in the U.S. game at every level at all. And then Harry hits another point that I'm sure you're about to want to
Yes,
bring up.
yes, because Sean and I were talking about this on the truck today. We had a meeting. We had a business meeting.
By the way, just because I find it hilarious, we're at 8:11. We're still talking about U.S. soccer,
Yes.
like I said we would be.
I do think that if a Bayern Munich comes in here and they see a guy playing at the Dynamo's Academy at the U17s.
So Marcelo Palomino,
Yes.
perfect example.
And they want him. Right now, that kid can just sign with them and Dynamo get nothing.
Correct.
Okay. I feel like Harry has brought up you should get some kind of solidarity payment. He's playing through your academy. Essentially, you have helped him become the player he is. You've been a major part of that. Bayern Munich should have to pay some kind of almost transfer
Development fee.
Solidarity payment is essentially what it would come down to.
So,
And that's how you're going to grow, because the
Now,
more you do that,
here's
the more
another,
you
here's
can build up
another
your
thing,
academy.
though. You're talking about, okay, what about MLS? But yet there have been many cases where that MLS gets the solidarity payment or this transfer fee, but the actual club who actually developed the player gets nothing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. It
that's
needs to
what
be a trickle
solidarity
down.
payment is.
Yeah. And then did you have any more points?
Here's one of the other problems.
Because there was some I wanted to finish
don't,
this break,
but
or go to
this
this
ties
break
into
with.
solidarity
Okay.
payments real quick. We have to also keep in mind that some of these things, especially solidarity payments, they are based on rules and regulations that come from the federal level, not U.S. soccer, but from the actual government level. So there are some things that frankly need to change with our government, and they don't give a rat's behind about soccer. But it does.
Is that really going to be a federal thing when it comes to a
It's
player
about
coming through
trade
your
commission
academy?
things. It's about NAFTA type things. When you're talking about these trade agreements, it doesn't matter that
So
this
these
is a
players
player.
would be looked at more of as a
You're talking about
commodity.
visas. Visas for players in the U.S. cannot get a visa until they're 16. The only reason Pulisic was able to go over to Europe is because he had ties to Croatia. That's the only reason, because he had a Croatian passport. That was the only reason he could go.
I'm going to take. Actually, we don't have to take this break if we don't want to.
We do. We want to take it, but I think we'll end on this Cisco note right here.
And then there's one other thing that I wanted to throw in before.
Let's do it quick.
Before we go to break, and then we're going to close out this discussion.
I'm glad you think so.
If you look at this country, okay, and you brought this up with the Mexican players,
Yes.
or dual citizenship players.
Yes.
This country was founded on being a melting pot of different cultures, different nationalities, different everything. Okay, there's no way that the U.S. shouldn't be top 5 best in the world. When you have different styles of play, different things that are brought to the table. You have a German style of play, you have a Mexican style of play, you have a English style of play for dual citizens. There's no reason that we shouldn't be one of the best. And it's okay if every nation has their own style of play, okay? But we get all of it here. And that's the way it should be. It shouldn't just be one mindset. And I'm going to leave that at that. You guys are listening to the P on KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. When we get back, Sean, what are we doing?
We're continuing with this. We're not done yet.
Okay.
You brought up something I need to talk about.
We'll give it another 15 minutes, and then we got to push on. We do got Dynamo
We're gonna
stuff
we're
to talk
gonna
about.
cut it at 7.
Okay.
We'll cut it halfway through because we need to get to this too.
Okay. When we get back, we'll hit our final segment of this whole discussion, which is good. But I also want to talk Dynamo.
For what it's worth, anything we don't get to tonight, feel free to hit us up in the YouTube chat. Feel free to hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And if you hit us up on Twitter and it's a really good point, we will continue this discussion next week. Guaranteed.
Tune in to The Peel, Houston's favorite soccer live radio show focusing solely on professional soccer in the greater Houston area. The Peel airs every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time on KTXF-db The Real, available via the TuneIn app on your smartphone and on the Peel's YouTube channel.
My read. Thank you guys for tuning into another edition of the Peel on KTXF-db, The Real, part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thank you to everyone tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and give this video a like, share it, and subscribe to our channel as well. Before we left, we were talking more about what we want to see out of U.S. soccer with this new presidency. I will give the floor to Sean.
Go ahead and read Victor's
Okay,
thing,
so
'cause
Victor
it
brings
segues
up
to
a
this.
very good point, and this goes into catering to certain areas of this country. If you look at where we're located, we are,
the city of Houston in general.
the city of Houston is there's a huge Hispanic
Population.
population
Community
here.
in general.
Community,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And Victor, who was on 2 weeks ago, brought up a very good point. Look at the Dynamo Academy staff. They don't cater to Hispanic players. Strange, considering the players they've moved to the first team are Hispanic for the most part.
Victor, by the way, just so you know, we love you, man. That's awesome.
And I've always had an issue with this. You have RGV, okay, who is in the hotbed of the Hispanic Texas community, okay?
But yet
And
nobody really cares about RGV.
It's not that we don't care. I don't think.
I got to know where this is going.
Okay, I don't think that their tie with the Dynamo is helping. They need to cater to that area.
Dude, okay, so we talked about this last week. I completely ripped you a new one for this, right?
Yes.
It's been 2 seasons. Give them a few more than 2 seasons. Please, for the love of God, give them more than 2 seasons to show.
Victor brings up the same point with the academy.
I know. So let me continue on my point. So first of all, why I say give them more. So his whole thing is down there, they set them up because they were basically a really good team that first year. And I said, they've only been a bad team for 1 year.
Go ahead.
Oh, you need a refill?
You want a refill?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm great. Anyway, so they've only been bad for 1 year. We assume they're going to be bad because they haven't really changed. They've changed a lot of players. They're going to have a big influx of a bunch of different players. They've got some of the same players, but they're going to have quite a few new players, right? So the reason I say this is because maybe we just need to give them a chance to prove that maybe what they're doing can actually work. Everybody jumped on the Dynamo, Jeff Cameron included, because they made bad decisions at the front office. What happened? 2 years later, we are sitting in the same position looking at it going, you know what? They're doing a damn good job right now. Why don't we give them an opportunity? 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons is not enough. They need 4 seasons. Give them 4 seasons. If we don't see any improvement, if Marcelo Palomino does not pan out, if Memo, they brought Memo through that system.
Maybe I don't mean to foot the blame on RGV.
And I'm not putting it on RGV
but
either.
I put it more on the Dynamo.
The partnership can work. The problem, so the Wilmer partnership worked great. The problem was Junior Gonzalez. And he'll tell you to a T. That was the big problem, really, to be honest, that it was just not, it was never going to work with Junior at the helm. He was not keen on playing young players. He wanted to play the players that fit what he wanted to do, not what the Dynamo wanted to do. And you had this clash of styles. You had this clash of mentality.
And sometimes I feel he did not even know what he wanted to play.
Exactly. So I think we need to give Gershon 1 year to just see what he can do with the players. Can you turn me down just a little? Because I'm a little closer to the mic now. We need to give Gershon 1 season to see what he can do with the player crop that's down there right now. Because I think if we do that, things may be very different come this time next year. I know we're all kind of hot and kind of annoyed because we want to see the players that are down there from the Dynamo improve and grow and have this opportunity to become these amazing players. But again, I look at it and I go, Memo, he got injured last year. If he didn't get injured last year, who knows what we're talking about this season? He could be one of the stars on our team. Not star, but he could be one of those sub players that's a super sub at that level. I mean, we could see the same thing with Palomino this year. We could say the same thing, very possibly, with Max Steves. We know he's going to get minutes down in RGV at the very least. So I say that to say this as well. I'm going to transition from that into this. You were talking about the difference in regional styles and things like that. I brought this up a few weeks ago on Down in the Valley, or the Power Hour. It might have been the Power Hour because I don't think I've been on the Down in the Valley before, other than this week. Hashtag Down in the Valley. But, regional styles results in the melting pot you were talking about. If you want to bring those styles together, you're going to have to help incorporate and grow those styles in this country. How do you do that? You encourage the youth to continue in that same style. You don't try to force your style on them.
No. But that comes from the coaching. You have to tell the coaching.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, and this is what I brought up to him the other day, or a few weeks ago. The one thing we don't have in this country is our lower division leagues are not regional based. They are getting that way to some extent with USL and PDL, and
it's really PDL.
It's PDL is starting to push that, but with USL 3, I think we're going to see some of that too. There's going to be conferences. I think we'll start to see divisions blossom out of that too. And the thing is so with regional, right, that gives you the opportunity for that regional flavor, that regional style to kind of spring up and become a system and become a style. The thing is, the reason the Dynamo don't have a style of play that's specific to the Dynamo is because, frankly, at this level, the only other thing they can do is bring in players from outside this country.
Which they do.
Yeah. There's hardly any teams that field more than 3 or 4 academy players over the course of the entire season. There's very few.
Yeah.
So even if 20% of your team is academy players, where do you find the other 80%? And are they going to match your actual style of play if you're regional? No. So you have to start that at a lower level. You have to start it way down the path. You have to start it with your youth academies. You have to encourage your youth academies to build on that style. Don't tell the player they need to become more athletic. Let the player play with that style. You never know. That could pan out and be the best thing you've ever done. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Yeah. Which is what they're trying to build, with having a similar style from Dynamo to Youth Academy, and that is including RGV and Brazos Valley.
And so, Harry kind of hits on this too, tied into the Down in the Valley talk that we're about to have, actually, I guess. And is this the Down in the Valley segment, or am I a little late?
Why don't we push that to the...
Well, I have it late. Why don't we put that now?
Okay.
We'll start the Down in the Valley stuff now. He'll finish, and then we'll roll into that other thing. Mm-hmm. So, so what Harry's saying, and this is why I wanted to bring the Down in the Valley stuff. Harry says, I'm gonna give both quotes. He in relation to RGV, Harry says, to me, they came in saying RGV was not a second team, a two team. Yet they seem to be a 2-team and not a hybrid team, in his opinion. And Harry says a hybrid team brings in more indie type of players, not just division or Dynamo players / pro players.
Yep.
So Harry's saying that basically the expectation is what is hurting them. We have talked about that. The big problem in RGV in terms of support in general is the marketing, is how they're marketing the team. They came in saying this is a USL team, instead of saying, you know what, you're getting an opportunity to see the young players from the Houston Dynamo, an MLS club, come support these players because they have an opportunity to become MLS pros, to become MLS, stars in the MLS. Support these players, and you could see you could see a player that came through our system and become the next star in MLS.
And I think they tried to start that because they always rely on, we get, like, for example, these interviews that they've done. Look at Charlie Ward and RGV alumni. Look at Manotas and things like that. But it's too late. And it doesn't help that we have on a smaller level, but it's also something, we have that pressure to try to be better than San Antonio and things like that. So
Harry knows what that's about.
Yeah. So this rivalry is making us, we have an expectation that we want to be better than our rival because, but with a 2-team, they're just focused on development. They don't really care about the rivalry.
Harry responds to your statement by saying that that's coming from USL as well, not just RGV.
Yeah.
And I think he's right to some extent on that. Do your read. It's time to go to break.
We got...
5 minutes. Huh.
Well, no, don't add 2 minutes to that.
So
that's behind
3.5?
Yeah, we got about 3.
3. Okay. So Down in the Valley this week, what do we have coming up?
Okay, so tomorrow we'll be talking about some details about the scrimmage they had against UTRGV. There was very few details that were actually released, but I managed to get some more details than the ones that were told by UTRGV's website, which is basically just the 2 players, the 2 UTRGV players that scored. What can we expect as well against the scrimmage against HBU this Saturday as well? And Houston Dynamo did actually take 2 RGV players from our roster to Tucson.
Any further discussions about Barracudas FC?
Yes.
Brownsville FC. Sorry,
Brownsville FC.
Oh, creating a whole new team down there.
All right, guys, we're going to hit this break just a tiny bit early. You guys are listening to the Peel on KTXF-db, The Real. Be sure to catch Down the Valley this week. It airs on the Peel's YouTube channel, and you can follow him on Twitter at Down in the RGV, and their amazing website, downintheRGV.com, provided and hosted by Embrace Fusion Web Services for Business.
Sure, check out my articles as well. Give me some love, man.
When we get back, we will finally dive into Dynamo
Dynamo.
news.
Yeah.
Thank God. I'm waiting for this.
Can I take this jersey off?
No, you got to wear it the
you
rest of
gotta
the
wear
show.
entire second hour.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're ending right at 9 tonight. By the way, we will be ending right at 9 going
Yes.
forward. However, if we do bleed over, KTXF will be cutting at 9 to Josh Fuller.
Yes.
Going forward. And so in the future, what we're going to do is we'll keep the YouTube running for anybody that wants to
Yeah.
continue discussing for 10, 15 minutes. But to make sure Josh has his opportunity because his show is amazing.
Yes.
We will cut right at 9 and let Josh cut on at 9 o'clock. So if you are listening on KTXF, do yourself a favor and keep listening after 9 o'clock because you're going to love what you stick around and hear.
Yes.
Tune in to The Peel, Houston's favorite soccer live radio show focusing solely on professional soccer in the greater Houston area. The Peel airs every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time on KTXF-db The Real, available via the TuneIn app on your smartphone and on the Peel's YouTube channel.
Add 2 minutes. Yeah. Somebody forgot to have their headphones on.
Yeah, I had to take them off for a second. Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the Peel on KTXF-db, The Real, part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thank you for everyone tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and give this video a like and a share and subscribe to our channel. Before we left, we were talking about RGV, but now we're going to finally get into some Dynamo stuff.
Well, kind of. Can we hit this first?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
So, because this ties in some of the U.S. soccer stuff. This is huge news. So, it was announced today. Yeah, that's today. Today, MLS Live will be added to the ESPN Plus lineup this spring, and free to fans until ESPN Plus is actually a true thing. So, it's really ESPN 3 lineup or whatever. So, here's the way this is going to work. Major League Soccer's out-of-market streaming package, MLS Live, is set to be one of the featured sports offerings on ESPN Plus, a new ESPN streaming product that will launch this spring and bring ESPN sports programming to subscribers via newly redesigned ESPN app, whatever. ESPN Plus will be available to fans for $4.99 a month, so $5 a month. And in addition to MLS Live, fans will have access to the entire lineup of other live sports and other ESPN content. The $4.99 a month subscription represents a significant discount for MLS fans compared to last year's $80 MLS Live full season package. So $5 a month for roughly 8 months of the year. That's $40 a year. That's half price.
So then let me ask you this.
Well, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, there's more. In addition to and this is why I love it. In addition to the MLS Live package, ESPN Plus subscribers will also have access to hundreds of MLB and NHL games, PGA Tour golf, college basketball, and football, among other sports that will be available both live and on demand. They're going to do on demand, which means on demand for all MLS games that are on this app.
Yes. That's
going to be amazing. Between the start of the 2018 MLS season on March 3rd and the launch of ESPN Plus this spring, MLS Live will be available to fans for free via MLSsoccer.com, the official MLS app, and on Apple TV and Roku. Details for out-of-market streaming in Canada will be announced at a later date.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Couple questions I have. I wonder if that means they'll bring in 4K streaming. 'Cause God, I hope so.
I think the 4K is going to be dependent upon the broadcast coming into them.
Correct. So there's where my question lies then. What does that mean for... I mean, granted, it's out of market.
Well, I've seen some stuff on ESPN3 or Watch ESPN that's just less than quality streaming.
But what my question is, okay, you have Cube.
Yeah.
What does that mean for Cube? Now, granted, it's out of market, right? So how is that logistically all going to work? Because they're going to be pulling that stream from them up to ESPN.
Well,
is ESPN now going to be having localized coverage at every match that's not local?
It's the same as MLS Live. It's just going to be, instead of their stream
I get what you're saying.
Instead of their stream going...
Yeah, but it's different because that's on a league level, not another provider
It's
level.
the same thing. It all hooks into the same systems ultimately. So it's yeah, correct. It's Harry Austin is basically saying it's ESPN3, just slightly different, and he's exactly right. It is. And Blues fan, no, you don't have to have a cable provider login for the $4.99 a month.
Correct, because you're paying
Plus.
Yeah.
It is literally the cable cutters, cable cutters option, which is amazing, completely unheard of.
I mean, I can cancel it and just keep Fox Soccer Match Pass. I can keep ESPN.
Yeah, and still get all soccer, and that's what I've been waiting for.
Yes.
The only
And
reason
NBC Gold.
the only reason I have the amount of Comcast that we have is because of the soccer coverage. I can't get it anywhere else. So if I can start getting that, the only thing is blackout restrictions. We'll have to figure that out.
I will say, though, DirecTV has a lot better lineup for soccer.
Do I really care? No, I don't.
And it's
I mean, Comcast has BN. You just know how to get it.
EPL 4K is on DirecTV.
If I had a 4K TV, that would make a difference.
Yes, but I'm just saying.
If I wanted to spend that kind of money right now. Anyways, so why is that important to bring up? One, it shows a movement forward for the league streaming platform. MLS Live has kind of become a bit dated at this point.
Yes, well, the apps became
the apps were just, and the thing
Roku
is,
app's been
the
dated.
problem for the league was sitting there and having to constantly pay for updates to the app. They were having to update the app, whether it was their own paid developers or it was a third-party company, which it was every year. It was a third-party company, but they were having to pay those guys to update the app. Guess what? ESPN, Disney are the ones paying for that update. It's no longer MLS. That's money saved. That's great. So that's why they're able to pass the cost savings on, because also it's a bigger market because they can hit everybody. So sponsorships and things like that for advertisements, whatever. The other thing of why this is important is this opens the door for streaming options for more national team matches, for more international tournament matches. Because now there's a platform. If MLS Live is already, or MLS is already on there, if other leagues are already on there, we're going to start to see more of that. We already see it with some of the lesser sports like rugby and cricket. They're on ESPN3 and Watch ESPN. So we're going to continue to see that growth. These sports that don't get the coverage that MLB and NBA and NFL pick up.
Yes, locally, Cube 57 will still cover the Dynamo.
Yeah, Tony asked if the Cube is still going to carry the Dynamo for local. Yes, and I have this to note. Eddie Robinson will be back next year along with Glenn Davis. Kudos, guys. Brilliant broadcast.
I swear, if
there's not a better team in MLS.
No.
I've watched every MLS away match in various.
Seattle's is so boring.
San Jose's is so bad.
Yes.
Oh,
MLS Live is a meme.
And I think Harry's right too. So USL moves over.
USL's already on ESPN.
Yeah,
for the matches of the week.
Yeah, so they'll be on ESPN Plus, and I think that opens the door for them to be able to expand to more matches to be covered as well. So what we're seeing, though, is we're seeing this kind of revolution in soccer in a way, in terms of coverage in this country. We're kind of leading the charge because we're the league getting away from the standard traditional TV and going to a streaming option. Other leagues have done it in certain ways.
Bundesliga and
no, I mean
EPL.
in this country. I'm talking about
in
sports
this country.
specific sports.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's good because it shows that this league is forward thinking and they're not stuck in their ways, and that's big.
Cisco said this is how he got into the Dutch league. So I guess all their stuff streamed.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I know,
Cisco's talking about illegal streams. I'm just kidding. I don't actually know. I'm sorry if the cops show up at your door. That's not.
I know Kirsten, who follows Bolton, she watches all their games online through their site.
So I watch. I mean, to be honest, I watch most of my Tottenham matches on NBC Sports Network, but I have it set to record all the time. Comcast, you can set for a favorite team.
I was thinking about online. Sorry.
No. No. So, and to be honest, most of the Tottenham matches are actually.
Yes,
on TV.
I will see. I agree with Harry. MLB Live, which last year was the first year I haven't had it in years because I'll watch the Phillies.
Oh yeah.
And typically by the time I get home, the game's starting here.
Yeah.
And their coverage is amazing. The video quality, although it's coming from their local, is still crisp. Their stats that you could pull up on the actual app, amazing.
So here's the difference, though, right? With MLB versus MLS, it's the sport in general. With MLS, you have such a limited window for commercial opportunities, for advertising opportunities. That's why they even have to put the little plugs next to the scoreboard on, the faded scoreboard on the thing. With MLB, not only do they have in-stadium plugs and things like that, but they actually have commercial time because it's such a long freaking sport.
Yeah. ESPN 3 has technically been on its way out, and it's been just more watch ESPN. Now, they throw the ESPN 3 tag on there, but, I mean, ESPN3 evolved into what Watch ESPN is now.
Well, they're following in the same footstep as what Fox Sports did, because Fox Sports created the same type of system where they have their main channel that runs their coverage, and then you can pay the fee to watch all of their coverage from all of their networks on the one app. And they still do the broadcast restrictions for blackouts and things like that on the Fox Sports app. It's really kind of cool, actually.
It is.
I've used it a few times. But their quality is not as high. So I want to see if ESPN Plus pushes some of these leagues and some of these other teams to push their quality up a little bit as well.
What is great about all this is with online streams, especially if ESPN is actually covering the game, not, say, Cube 57. Once 4K is actually live, like it is in EPL right now, God, can you imagine MLS in 4K?
There are some of those players I don't want to see in 4K.
No, but I mean,
Ozzy Alonso is a perfect example.
To watch a game in Portland with that crowd in the background of 4K.
Oh, yeah.
God, that would be amazing.
Man.
Atlanta, Toronto, when it's snowing.
Yeah. You could see the SKC birds in full force.
Yeah. On a side note, Alex, as far as I heard, Disney's going to launch their own streaming service.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's taking. They're
I hear you
moving.
saying,
They're positioning themselves to take on Netflix and Hulu, and he's absolutely right.
Which I did watch the NFL in 4K through Amazon Prime this year, and it was pretty good.
Solid. No,
yeah.
that's what's amazing. I mean, a lot of these. Sorry, Latif blessing. A lot of these streaming options are becoming viable options to truly cut the cord, as long as you have a reasonable internet connection.
Yeah,
and they tend to be cheaper in the long run. Now, is some of this kind of, there's a lot of discussions to be had. I don't want to linger on this point for too long.
We've dealt enough with ports. I don't want to talk about them anymore.
Ports?
Sabercats.
Oh.
Ports.
Oh, right. Okay. I had to think about where that was going. I was like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. But speaking of ports, we have a few minutes left, and I know you have a personal quote-unquote thing that you want to talk about. I figured this would give you the perfect opportunity to
for my little tidbit?
Ports and about coastal.
Oh, okay. Well,
you got time.
Yeah, we'll take this break late.
That's fine.
My hometown, I grew up in Fountain, Delaware.
Where's that?
It is literally the road I grew up on, Mid-State Road. It is the exact middle of the state of Delaware.
Okay. So you could literally walk 5 miles one direction, 5 miles in the other, and be both sides of the state at the same time?
Correct. Yeah, okay. And Delaware's finally getting WPSL team called.
Start that over since you bumbled that.
WPSL team.
There you go.
There you go. And finally, we've had semi-pro teams before in the WPSL and the UWS, but this is the first time in this type of movement where we're seeing a growth in soccer, where it's happening. And it's actually going to be the stadium that they're going to be playing at is literally right down the road from where I grew up, where I went to elementary school at. It's going to be Coastal Atlantic FC, and I am very excited to follow them in their inaugural year, which I think is 2019. Their facility is beautiful. It's a soccer facility just like Haas, but bigger. I think they got like 8 or 9 fields, maybe even 12.
Yeah.
But it's huge. And before it was just farmland, which is nice to see, kind of. So Delaware was very big into farming. There's not a lot of other economy there besides that.
There's certain things I didn't really care to know about Delaware in general.
But anyway, it's pretty cool. Their kit is pretty cool because it has a big C-17 on it, which, if you don't know, Delaware has the biggest cargo base in the U.S. Air Force.
I'm sure if you ask real nicely in YouTube chat, Justin will tweet it out.
I'll retweet the picture.
In other words, he's going to do it anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But that's my little tidbit just from back home.
Very
I'm
cool.
excited.
Very cool.
Yes.
Time for a break.
Yep, we're going to go ahead and go to break. You guys are listening to the Peel on KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. When we get back,
no more breaks. This is it.
Finally, some Dynamo news.
Yes, this is it. Two Dynamo and Dash. We're going to have to roll through this real quick, but that's okay. We'll talk about that later, Tony.
Yes.
Go to break.
Yeah, when we go back. Or go to break.
Go to Beck.
Go to Beck.
There it is.
Do you love soccer in the city of Houston? The guys from the Peel break down the professional soccer teams in the greater Houston area, men's and women's, on KTXF-db The Real and YouTube every Tuesday beginning at 7 p.m. Central. share that with everybody.
Thank you guys for tuning into another edition of The Peel on KTXF-db The Real, part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thanks to everyone tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and give this video a like, a share, and subscribe to our channel. Before we left, we were teasing more Dynamo news. I'm just going to go ahead and dive right into it. Kyoto is officially back into training after his 4 or 5 month long illness that he had here. It seemed like he had the flu forever. He got it before everybody else got it here in Houston. Maybe he brought it here. Is that wrong?
That's pretty wrong, dude.
No, I don't mean it in a wrong way, but I don't know. I don't mean it in a good way
that
either.
Was kind of a ridiculous statement.
But I mean,
is it
he
wrong?
was.
I don't mean it in a wrong way.
He was sick during the Western Conference Final, and he's been sick this whole offseason leading up to preseason, which actually begins tomorrow. I will have the time. I had it up. There it is. We will face the Portland Timbers at 3 p.m. our time tomorrow in the Mobile Mini Sun Cup, which all those games will also be streamed live through the Houston Dynamo's website as well. I think him being back in the lineup, I wish he was here for some of the earlier training sessions because you need that continuity between your players early on. At least that's personally, I feel like you need that, especially with some of the newer guys coming in. And he's a pivotal part of our offense. So I feel like it would have been best if he was here in the beginning. But so far, and I know we don't have a whole lot of tape on him. Who are you most excited to see in preseason? Who do you want to show up? Who do you expect, or who do you expect to have a big moment?
Can you go back to the YouTube chat real quick?
Yes.
I'm going to need it up for like 2.5 minutes.
Go ahead.
Alex in Houston, this is for you, my friend. Marcelo Palomino. Hype train Marcelo Palomino. He has looked really good so far. Yes. If he continues to look as good as he has a serious shot at least getting some MLS minutes this year.
Does he make the first team permanently, or does he?
No, I think it's spot starts. I think that's based on injuries to players.
Do you think he doesn't bounce back and forth between MLS and USL? Do you think he's up here and gets minutes regularly? I'm not saying starts.
I think it depends on a few things. I think it depends on.
Alex said all hype.
Yes, he does. No, it's a thing in Dynamo Discord chat.
Blues fans brings up a good point.
No, he's the next one I was going to talk about, actually. No, Blues fan, and Alex in Houston are both part of the Dynamo Discord, and we talk about them all the time. But Palomino has impressed me so far. Even though I haven't seen a whole lot on him, I'm ready to see him against MLS level competition. Yes. I want to see if he has the MLS level. If he does already, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, Alex, maybe just you, not me. But I mean, it's amazing to me that he already has that fluidity. He did say the game at this level is a lot faster. He's got to kind of get used to that. But I see he already has that vision at this run of pace. I want to see him have that against MLS competition, though. The second name that I think I'm really looking forward to seeing more of is Max Steves. I was not as high on him when we drafted him. But, man, after watching him in open practice, after watching him or not watching him, but listening to how he looked when Edson was out there at the RGV match, just the guy has goals.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a nose for goal. He's got a strong physical stature about him. And in MLS, that can take you a long way. And he's a big guy in general. So I want to see him have an opportunity at the senior level, because guess what? If they don't bring in another forward, another striker, he's got a shot, at least at an MLS contract. Yeah. And it came out earlier this week. I think Corey said it. Palomino and Steves are both getting an opportunity with this preseason trip to show that they belong in MLS. And if they prove it, they have a shot at MLS contracts. That's amazing to me. Alex and Blues fan, I want you guys to just do me a favor and share why you guys are so hyped about both of those players.
Real quick.
In the YouTube chat.
Before we move on to the dash, I did want to bring this up. It'll take me 2 seconds.
Okay. You're good.
I signed up. I think Edson's going to end up signing up. I know you have something going on.
I'm trying to see.
It won't let me post the link on the YouTube chat.
For
oh, right. We'll figure
Tweet it out.
We'll figure it out. Well, yeah. Make sure you open Twitter. If you're currently on the YouTube chat, open up Twitter. We're about to tweet out the link to the public league
Yes.
or the MLS draft league.
But also, if you want to volunteer, it's always good to put on your resume. The Houston Dynamo are doing their Box with the Fox Saturday, February 24th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. To help with the Houston Food Bank. You're just boxing food up for the seniors in the area. I think it's a great thing to get out there. I want to see a really good turnout. The Dynamo tweeted it out. I will retweet it again with the link to sign up. It takes about 5 minutes to sign up. Just knock it out, do it.
So I want to throw this out there.
Good.
There's a lot of volunteer opportunities through Dynamo charities and the charities that they're involved with, whether it's the house that Ching built, whether it's the Houston Food Bank, whether it's I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that I'm kind of blanking at the moment. But, I mean, there's tons of opportunities. I mean, absolutely tons of opportunities. And, you know, I would like to see if you're in the Houston area and you're listening to this podcast or radio show or whatever, get out to at least one volunteer opportunity this season. Even if you're not a people person, just get out there. They're going to have an opportunity for you to be to do things that at least get you involved. Because guess what? When you're out there volunteering, it's not about you. You're out there helping out people, and I can tell you, it changes you in ways that you can't even really explain. I had the opportunity a couple years ago to go out during the off season to the house that Ching built, Habitat for Humanity build project, and it was phenomenal. It was a great opportunity to meet other fans that are passionate about the Dynamo as well as I was. And it was an opportunity. You know, Kroger came out. They had a couple of Kroger locations that came out and actually helped build the house. And it was just so cool to be out there and hang out. And then also, I mean, you know, Ching didn't come out, but he was involved with the project. He was out there on other days. It was just cool to be there. I met people within the Dynamo organization that were out there, you know, working and volunteering with us. It's just, there's no reason for you not to go do it unless you're busy. And if you're busy with this one, go find another one. There's going to be other opportunities.
I'm going to try to make it out to a lot of them. Unless I have class that morning, but I'm going to try to make it out because I think they're typically on Saturdays.
They usually are Saturdays, just so you know. Yes.
But I put the link in the chat for signing up for the Dynamo Charities event.
He didn't have any
Box with the Fox. Hashtag Blaine Butters.
That's because you're awesome.
And then Houston Dash News. Also, real quick, 18 days until opening day. It cannot get here fast enough. One other point that I wanted to bring up with the Dynamo is that, hey, thank you, Jose Betancourt, for subscribing to our channel. We have 9 players whose average age is 24.7.
Those are the returning goal scorers from the Dynamo from last season. Of the 9 of them that are returning from last season, that's my sister, by the way.
Oh.
Maybe you need to not do it through a Twitter link. Open up Bitly and do it that way. Yep, you failed.
Wow.
You failed. He's working on it. Sorry, sis. But of the 9 players that are on that list, the average age. So, get us the 9 goal scorers from last season that are coming back this season. Of the 9 that are on that list, the average age is 23 years old. That is the lowest in Major League Soccer. The average age of goal scorers. You look at a lot of teams, Nikolic. You look at Seattle, Lodero, or Dempsey, or whatever. There's so many of these older players that are their top goal scorers, and for us, it's Elise.
Yes.
Or Morrow. What was your other thing that you had for us?
Yeah, the Dash News.
Oh, the Dash News. So today, the Dash announced, and unfortunately, I don't have much time to talk about it, so I'll just kind of mention it. But today, the Dash announced that they have traded for Tiffany Weimer from Washington Spirit. I didn't get a chance to look at the full details of that trade. If somebody has the full details of that.
I think it's another draft pick that they traded for.
Okay, so they traded away a draft pick, you mean?
I believe so.
So I'm sure Cisco can pull it up and pop it into the YouTube chat. So
Go ahead.
Heather, do me a favor and click that link. Thank you. So the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because the moves for, I believe the Dash are not done. I believe that strongly. You are just failing miserably.
It's something to do with YouTube.
With YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tweet it out.
Yeah, tweet it out, and I will post. Heather, I'll send it to you directly through Facebook Messenger. I got you. For a 4th rounder, Cisco says Tiffany Weimer was traded to us in exchange for a 4th round draft pick for the Dash. How often has that panned out? So, really, we got her for next to nothing, and she's probably going to have an opportunity to at least compete for a starting position.
Pollyanna.
Tony, actually, that's a really good question. Is Beasley still a DP player here? And this will be the last thing before we probably close up for the evening. Beasley is not a DP player anymore. He wasn't a DP last year either. He renegotiated his contract, or the Dynamo renegotiated his contract and got him down under the, at the time it was $425,000, now it's $450,000. So he's low enough on the contract value, contract cost, salary cost, that he's no longer a DP. What that means is actually we have a free DP level. We have a free. That was pretty awesome. I got to show you the Facebook message he sent me, by the way. We have a DP slot available for this season, and I keep saying this, and I want people to realize this. Just because we have that slot does not mean we use that right now. I know Corey said in his article that the Dynamo are actively looking, and they are actively looking, but that doesn't mean they're going to sign them right now. Most of those windows internationally are already closed. The MLS window does not actually close until like May, which is ridiculous. So, there's an opportunity there for the Dynamo to improve. We know typically with designated players that they're in key positions, right? Well, what are our key positions? Attacking midfielder, defensive midfielder, a wrecking ball at defensive midfielder. We already have one of those in Cabezas. Now, I'd like to see a second one next to him, don't get me wrong. But if we don't find that, I'd love to see an attacking midfielder that can compete with Tomas at this point. I still want to see Tomas get an opportunity this season. I want to see, because I have a feeling he's fluid enough that he might be able to adapt. I don't know. I got to see it. We have the forward already. We have our striker. Maybe another striker next to Morrow would be, not next to, but as a backup to him. That higher level striker would be just amazing. But the whole reason I say all of that is to basically say, just remember at the end of the day, the Dynamo are not done. It may not happen now. It may not happen until the summer, but I guarantee you more moves are on their way. Just hold on to yourself because good times are coming.
Yes. I got to do my closing read, but if you guys are listening on KTXF, be sure to stay tuned. We have Josh Fuller on next. Very good show. Talks a lot of Texas country. So next week we will have preseason talk about. I plan on watching a lot of those matches.
Yeah, we'll have two matches by then.
We'll have two matches
Wednesday and Saturday, I believe.
We'll have a better look on the shape of this team going into regular season. We'll have, what's 18 minus 7? Quick math. 11. Sorry.
He's looking at you like you're dumb.
Oh, I am when it comes to math. I'm not going to admit that. I'm not going to.
Philly.
It has nothing to do with me being from Philly.
All right, hurry up. You got a minute and a half. Come on, close this out, buddy.
We'll have 11 days till match day. We might have some big news to announce. Maybe, possibly, maybe. We got to get with the other person.
Yes, I know. I know.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight to another edition of the PO on KTXF-db, the real part of the Texas Sports Review Media Network. Thank you to everyone tuning in that tuned in on YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't already, go ahead and give this video a like and a share and subscribe to our channel on YouTube so you get notified when we go live and Down in the Valley goes live. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ThePeel05. Like us on Facebook at ThePeel2005, and be sure to check out our website, thepeellive.com, provided and hosted by Embrace Fusion Web Services for Business. Be sure to also follow Edson and his show Down in the Valley on YouTube, and follow him on Twitter at Down in the RGV. Lastly, be sure to check out our friends over at Dynamo Theory. Check out their website, dynamotheory.com, and follow them on Twitter at Dynamo Theory for all your Houston Dynamo and Dash news. Be sure to tune in again next Tuesday live at 7 p.m. here on KTXF and YouTube. And I'm going to wait for that part.
Wait, I got one thing to say.
One more minute. Go ahead.
I got one thing to say. Josh, stay thirsty, my friend.
Yes.
There's always a seat at this table for you.
Yes. There will always be cold beer and a seat. In case you guys were
Because
wondering.
I don't drink.
In case you guys were wondering, his job's been beating him around, and it's been taking a toll on him. Hopefully he'll get his people in line to...
We will keep that seat always open for you, my friend.
Yes.
Always.
Again, tune in next week. Brutus, thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you for letting us.
Just barely
knocked out.
Yeah. No, he's awake.
Oh, is he?
He's chilling.
Yeah, he
Barely.
On that note.
Oh,
Damn, Harry.
God, those
that
cups keep
burn.
getting deeper.
That burn? I feel that all the way over here.
I'm used to it. 26 years with no Valentine date.
Oh, I feel so bad for
and
you.
be sure, guys, to stay tuned on KTXF-db, the real, to listen to Josh Fuller coming up next. And for the ones that are in the YouTube chat, we're not going to go anywhere. We'll have a discussion with you guys.
Yeah, we'll go to 9:15.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we're about 9:15.
Josh, good luck, man.
Good luck.
Wait. Forever Orange.
Oh yeah, forgot about that part. Forever Orange.
Forever Orange.
It wouldn't have sounded as good with the cans.
Right.
Savage.
Welcome back, guys. I will message you that.
Link
Yeah.
via Facebook. All right, cool. Thank you. My sister's waiting for that link.
You're welcome.
So, all right, if you're in YouTube chat, you have 15 minutes. You can ask us any questions related to the Dynamo Dash US Soccer that we can answer. We'll do our best. Or you guys can just chat, and we'll be happy to chime in with thoughts as we can.
Let's see.
You're going to have to keep watching Edson because he doesn't have it up on the screen this time. Fantastic. I will forward that on. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm waiting for. I want to see how this works on the inside with Josh Fuller. I want to see if it pops up with his login over here. It probably won't.
It should.
But cool. I didn't meet my wife till 28, so there's still time. Well, my hopefully future fiance, I didn't meet her till I was 28.
Sent to you, Heather. Thank you.
There you go. Hey, Edson. Francisco brings up a good point. The rodeo's coming up. You can find some grade A talent there.
You see what I put up with these guys?
But I guess, what do you guys really want to see out of the Dynamo this year?
Tinder. Oh, Lord. Okay, so Cisco asked, can you explain for all of us, specifically Cisco, the trade that went down with GAM for TAM? So I did kind of explain that actually on the Down in the Valley podcast last week. Basically, you're welcome, Heather. Thanks for following up and just constantly pushing us to get that out. We wanted to share that. So what it shows is that general allocation money is more valuable than targeted allocation money. That's because targeted allocation money has specific requirements and regulations for how it can be spent. General allocation money has less stringent requirements. It can be spent a lot of different ways. So it gives the opportunity for more. So you have a specific amount that you have a specific way that you can spend targeted allocation money, where general allocation money, you can spend it more broadly. And so that's why Toronto traded for general allocation money, because they no longer had enough targeted allocation money, and they couldn't bring down certain players with targeted allocation money. So that was the question.
And I hear that they're going to be bringing in another, I think from the Brazilian league, another player, Toronto.
Possibly.
So
it's and it's no surprise they're getting a lot of young players so that they can kind of refresh what they have at the younger levels. Mm-hmm. But it's just one of those things. Okay, so Harry asks, is there any reason why San Antonio FC and Houston don't play in preseason? Is it because of the RGV rivalry? Seems like we always play Frisco FC in the preseason. If we have any insight, do you have any insight behind that? Because it's actually a really interesting question.
No, not that I know of.
I think part of that is the San Antonio preseason and RGV preseasons are so short. I mean, the MLS preseason is so short by the time they get to that point where they could have a match. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also part of it is coordinating together. They're not going to remove their matches with RGV. They're not going to remove their matches with their counterparts in
UTRGV and HBU.
So, I mean, they've already got a full schedule, and then you tack on to that as well the preseason tournaments that they are part of. And really, at the end of the day, they've already worked themselves. What was it? I couldn't see it because you pulled off.
So basically, they're asking about the partnership between FC Dallas and
we didn't get a chance to talk about it this week, but I'm glad you brought it up, Blues. So it's Frisco and Bayern Munich have entered into a partnership that's supposed to allow youth player movement between the two academies/clubs. I think at the end of the day, I'm not really sure this is going to make a difference for them, because it didn't make a difference for a lot of other teams. The only exception to that rule has been New York City FC and their partnership with Manchester City. But that's because it's the same ownership and the same organization. Yeah. It's totally different for teams. However, with that said, at some point, some team, some academy is going to break that rule. they're going to become the exception to that rule. They're going to find a way to make it work. I don't know when it's going to happen. It could be these guys.
I know,
but we'll see.
I know Frisco used to have a partnership with Tigres.
They did.
That's
and
how
it floundered so badly.
Yes,
it was such a bad idea.
That's how we got for a while. I think it was Jesse Gonzalez. I'm trying to remember.
I do find it funny that Bayern Munich came over here and
Munich.
City Houston gave them Bayern Munich Day as a declaration thing for February, whatever it was that they were here for, which I think was cool of the mayor to do that, actually, because it was Bayern Munich. They didn't have to do that. We give them the day, and then they go up to Frisco and partner Frisco. Like, screw you, Bayern Munich. We give you a whole day, and, declare a Bayern Munich Day every year.
No.
There's always Real Madrid.
Do you think that you're going to see these partnerships across other leagues, not just MLS, like a partner? And
we've seen some.
You know what, though?
Santos, in Liga MX, Santos Laguna has a partnership with Celtic. The Scottish. Is it the Scottish?
Okay, maybe I asked that wrong. Do you think you'll see partnerships within federations? Or not federations, continents? So you're not going to... You'll never see a partnership between, say... Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund because they compete in the Champions League. Okay. That's what I mean. I don't think you'll ever see a partnership again on this side of the pond.
You mean like Mexico with US?
Correct, because you're going to compete in the Champions League, which is another thing that I want to bring up on the show next week because the Champions League, is next week. The CONCACAF Champions League is along with the importance of US Open Cup. I think MLS as a whole needs to start putting a lot of focus in Champions League. I think there's a lot of money to be had there, and I think the coverage also needs to get better as well. I mean, yes, I can watch it on Facebook, but, what am I going to do? Connect my laptop? Probably. But, connect my laptop to my TV to watch it?
So, Harry asks another good point.
Well, it is going to be stopped, isn't it? It is suspended for 4 years?
Hold on just a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Not yet.
Wait. Why don't we read the question off? Do you think Liga MX, because remember, we're going to, I don't know, maybe this doesn't get included in the podcast. Do you think Liga MX stops Pro-Rel as is being discussed? And I'm curious why you say no, because I thought this was something that was really close to actually coming to fruition.
No, because he said that it's already been implemented. I said no, it still hasn't been implemented. It's still in talks.
So is this something that you see based on what you know and based on your sources in Mexico? Is this something that you think has a realistic, reasonable chance to actually come to fruition?
Yes.
Okay, I was just curious.
Because there's so much money. There's so much money.
We'll answer that question here in a second.
Okay.
Both of us will.
Okay.
We both root for the same team, so it's okay.
So basically, there's so much money to be had for, like, especially the fact how Chivas is doing so bad. Cruz Azul is having those problems as well with entering relegation. So there's a lot of power outside of the actual field that will want the owners and the association, the federation, to dictate. You know what? Do this. They say, oh, it's because of the infrastructure in Ascenso. We have so many players, in Liga MX, in Ascenso, that have said we don't want this to be eliminated. That quote I told you a while ago, I think it was in the beginning of the podcast off air. That was because they asked Ricardo Lavolpe that question: should it be abolished? And he said no. The problem is, you're gonna the top teams are going to continue to spend
at the bottom.
I saw it, yeah.
To continue to spend to win a championship, but now the lower teams won't have the pressure to spend to try to save themselves from relegation. So there's going to be a huge disparity.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a question I have, a huge divide. The question I have, and this is that's pretty cool. Pre any of this pro-rel discussion happening, but previously I seem to remember, and I don't know if it was in talks with you or somebody else, but and maybe I heard it on Counterattack or something like this, but pro-rel, what was happening before, and the reason they had to come up with the financial fair play is like over in Spain, the teams that would get relegated, their owners would go out and buy the team that just got promoted.
Yeah, that's what happens in Liga and Liga
that's
MX.
what I was about to ask. Is that similar to happening? I mean, does it happen in Liga MX? If it does,
yes.
Then then it's pointless for pro-rel because it's not really pro-rel. It's just, you know what I'm saying?
But it's financial interest, and there's so many rules that the federation has that they turn a blind eye. For example, having one owner having multiple teams. TV Azteca owns Morelia and owns Atlas.
Yeah.
The federation in the law says you can't have that. Grupo Pachuca has Pachuca and León.
Go ahead, ask your question.
No, I had a different topic. I was going totally different.
Well, I want to answer Tony's question real quick.
With
Tony
Champions
asked,
League.
Is it tied to that?
Our Champions League, not European Champions League.
So, all right, tell me who you have. I already know your answer, but just in case, who you have? PSG or Real Madrid?
Jesus. If I see him do Ronaldo one more time,
that was Ronaldo. Okay, so Ronaldo, we got a Real Madrid. I'm Real Madrid as well.
Don't you get up and do it. Don't you get up and do it. You just made a fool of yourself.
Did it in a Phillies uniform.
That's true, but I don't want the Eagles to be tied into Ronaldo.
So, okay, Harry says, Edson, you need to go ahead and listen to the new USL Show podcast with Jake Edwards that came out today. Had a lot of good info for your podcast tomorrow.
Will do.
So, for Down in the Valley tomorrow.
So,
Sean White won gold in half pipe today. That's
nice.
tonight. Oh, wow. He won gold against, what's that, like 8 in a row, 6 in a row?
He's a GOAT. He's better than Tom Brady.
Now, to be fair, he only gets a chance at this every 4 years, and he already has. If he got one every year, he'd have way more than Tom Brady. But what I wanted to say, and I just lost my train of thought.
That's fine.
Sorry,
I got
people.
you.
Yeah, you had something you were going to talk about. That's what it was.
Champions League.
Oh yeah, Champions League.
CONCACAF.
So my thing is I feel like as a whole it would be good. This is another reason U.S. Soccer should tell MLS and push MLS into doing this. As a whole, let's hypothetically say that a Honduran club, okay, comes and runs through Champions League, gets to the final, even though they lose. Mm-hmm. Okay, they lose. Let's say a Liga MX team.
Somebody laughed at you, by the way.
Let's say they lose to a Liga MX team, right? As a whole, the Champions League is going to get so much more play because, oh my God, there's this team out of Honduras that nobody knows that's playing a final against Liga MX. And
it doesn't even remotely make waves. It just doesn't. Not in that way.
You think that it would be more if an MLS club beat a Liga MX
Yes.
club?
Would it make more headlines? Yes. And I think it would also draw more attention to CONCACAF Champions League in general when an MLS club does it.
Let me ask you this:
because it's going to happen.
Do you watch any of the CONCACAF Champions League?
Yeah, I watch quite a few games. Every one I can.
Is it just MLS ones or any ones that are on time?
Typically just MLS, but I have watched others.
I'm actually extremely excited to see Toronto.
Interesting about Toronto. Okay, so interesting thing about Toronto. Okay. They played against America in a friendly. Mm-hmm. They tied 3-3.
1 second real quick. If you have any more questions, get them out there because you only have about 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes, actually. About 7.
They played starters versus starters. It ended 3-3 against Club America.
Okay.
When they played their reserves, the final score was 6-3. They played another friendly against the Marina, the team of the Mexican Army. Mm-hmm. They lost. I don't remember what the kind of score, but they lost against them. And they're not even a pro team, so I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, Montreal.
That honestly was one of my favorite.
That was actually the first CONCACAF Champions League that I watched from when they really started to promote it a little bit more on Facebook. Mm-hmm. That's when I really started to watch it.
Yeah.
God, they had a chance too.
Montreal
had a really good chance.
If I was correct,
I was rooting for Montreal.
Garbage that year in MLS?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That same year.
Yeah. It's the same as DC in their run through US Open Cup.
Yeah.
The year that they won Open Cup, it was because they were crapping. But that's the thing, right? If you want to win hardware, if you want to win hardware outside of MLS, you're probably going to sacrifice a bit of your MLS season.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they did.
But I think there needs to be, yes, MLS is great, but if you also think about it, you're not really fighting for MLS ground until after the All-Star break, unless you've mailed it in the beginning of the season and you're, you have 3 wins. But I feel that it's okay if you sacrifice a couple games in the beginning of the year. I think that
because what you kind of lose in the league, you'll kind of get it back from international.
Plus, at some point, you're going to be in more form than what the other teams in MLS are. Mm-hmm. You've played more games. You've played quality opponents at that point.
Now, another thing is that the other downside is there's also a bigger probability of injuries.
This is true,
especially against Central American teams.
But it's not a valid argument. Look at EPL. Look how many games a Champions League team plays. Well, not EPL, but look how many games a Champions League team plays over in Europe.
No,
I mean, look how many games they play in general, because you also have just EPL, FA Cup, Champions League.
But the difference,
EPL.
the difference in preparation, it also
and the travel is also a lot more here too.
Yeah, it is. But the way I look at it is, and this is perfect timing because Tottenham currently are in the midst of like 5 games in 10, 12 days. 12 days.
It was Pep Guardiola. Yeah. Didn't he bitch about it earlier?
Yeah, because he has. They're dealing with a lot of the same issues. But Tottenham even had to do the replay from the FA Cup because they drew with Notts County. No, it wasn't Notts County.
I do think that, Harry, I think that MLS should make a little bit more concessions when it comes to Open Cup and Champions League.
They do a little bit. If a team progresses past that group stage, they will move matches accordingly. But they still try to lump them all together right. But I think with like
Open Cup, there should be no matches on that weekend, and Open Cup finals should be played on the weekend with no matches. None.
So, what they really need to do, they need to, for Open Cup teams, they need to give them 1 or 2 additional roster slots and let those roster slots be, they can be players that play in MLS, but they need to be players that are, give them an opportunity for the 2 extra players that are, they're still on budget, but they just expand their budget just a little bit more so that they can afford to fill
Talking like round of 32, round of 16 at Open Cup?
No. Well,
and they condense the rosters
I'm
down.
talking about CCL teams. If they want, MLS wants CCL, if they ever want to win, if they ever want an MLS team to win CCL, they're going to have to devote more resources, and the teams are going to have to devote more resources, which means you're going to have 1 or 2 extra roster slots for CCL specifically. Yeah. Now they can play in MLS, but it's just handled differently.
Especially during the fact that you're going to be going up against teams with such a higher budget like Tigres and America. And Rayados.
Yep. But, when they do these types of competitions, don't they pull in some of their younger players from their youth development? Maybe not
group
the young
group stages.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? In MLS, they can't pull those players up to play unless they're in USL contracts. So that's the difference right there. In Liga MX, as a Liga MX team, I can pull my players up from my academies and whatever because there's no middle division.
Yes.
And whereas with MLS, I can only pull up USL players that are under contract to my team. So it's a contractual thing because we don't have as deep a rosters.
Because technically, it's a complete roster. It's just divided into who's going to play in Liga Vancomer, who's going to be playing in the under 17s, who's going to play under 23s, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
we're at the end of our 15 minutes of
Peel After Dark. Need to get to sleep because I got to be up at 3:30. So, hooray me.
That's why we only went 15 minutes. I have respect
to the 10 that are still watching. I need you guys
11 now.
11. I need you guys to do me a huge favor.
Yes.
Once the podcast is uploaded and the tweet is tweeted out, share the hell out of this.
Yeah.
That is the only way we're going to grow. And
I will say
we have a huge force going right now.
We do.
And
I really want to thank you guys for sticking around and talking with us and engaging with us. It really does. It's fun for us. It really is. But what I want to say is do us a favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. And most of you probably have. We appreciate that. But the reason for that is you guys get notified when we go live. There's a possibility that we could go live on a non-Tuesday for something else, a pre-match or a post-match or something like that, which is a very real possibility. So do yourself a favor and subscribe because you definitely want to know when we go live, whether it's Down in the Valley, whether it's the Peel, whether it's Dynamo Power Hour, because we've had a weird week of scheduling.
Part of it is, and we've been the first ones here to complain about it, is the following the Dynamo have isn't as big as what it should be. We are all part of this.
Yeah.
The more you share, the more you talk, whether it's just us or the Dynamo in general, is the bigger this voice gets towards the club and the following they get. And then say you're unhappy with the club, the more people talk about it, the more changes are going to happen because there's that push,
Because we are a fan,
We're the voice of the fans. Yes. We want to be the voice of you guys. So that's another reason for you guys to engage with us in the YouTube chat or on Twitter or on Facebook because that's how you guys can get your voice out there. That's all I wanted to say was that.
But again, guys, thank you. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We will be back. Yeah, you can take it off. We will be back next Tuesday.
He's doing a striptease for our fans. I'm sorry, guys. You liked the video, not us. I'm just saying. Y'all have a good one, guys. Thank you again.
Later, guys.